This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Partly cloudy, 21 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
The wraps are expected to come off David Spear's shadow cabinet today. Member for Colton, Matt Cowdery, will be elevated to Treasury spokesman, while Heidi Girolamo will assume the role of finance spokeswoman. Earlier this week, the Liberals elected Mr Spear's leader and former Education Minister John Gardner his deputy. The first leaders' debate of the election campaign was held last night. Michael Packey reports from Brisbane.
100 undecided voters gathered in a function room at the Gabba to question Scott Morrison and Anthony Albanese about their policy platform. The future of the National Disability Insurance Scheme was the main concern for Catherine, who has a son with autism.
Can you please tell me what the future of the NDIS looks like under your government?
The Prime Minister says the coalition is committed to the program and praised Labor for setting it up, but also argues it needs to be refined to make sure taxpayer dollars are being spent wisely.
But it's always the Liberals and Nationals have to work out how to pay for these things.
Both leaders also clashed on issues like aged care, China's influence in the region and border protection.
SA's hospitality industry is urging authorities to follow the eastern states' lead and scrap close contact rules. Victoria and New South Wales are relaxing COVID isolation requirements from Friday. It means people who live with someone who tests positive won't have to isolate for 7 days if they don't have symptoms. The AHA's Ian Horn says similar changes need to be made here.
It is the one burden for the employees and the staff. It is managers and operators are pulling their hair out literally because they just can't get enough staff at the right time.
4,256 COVID infections were reported in SA yesterday. 252 people are in hospital, including 14 in ICU. Ukraine's president is pleading with the international community to put even more pressure on Russia over the ongoing violence in his country. The European Union is pledging a further $2 billion in military aid to Ukraine in a bid to slow the assault in the Donbass region. Volodymyr Zelensky says more needs to be done to bring an end to the conflict.
Certain things, in our opinion, are not yet finalized, and they have to be developed in more detail and have to be completed, because at the moment they are not enough to stop the funding of this war by Russia.
Workplace safety regulators in New Mexico have issued the maximum possible fine to a film production company over a fatal shooting on set. Cinematographer Helena Hutchins died on the set of Rust last October after a prop gun being used by actor Alec Baldwin went off. Director Joel Souza was also injured in the shooting. The fine is $184,000. Princess Diana and the Queen have featured in Prince Harry's latest interview on US TV. Brett McLeod has more.
In a sit-down interview during the Invictus Games, Prince Harry said he has a really special relationship with the Queen, which he renewed last week, and says they talk about things they can't talk about with anybody else. And of Diana, he says his mother's presence has been constant over the last 2 years, saying it's like she's finished helping his brother William, and now she's helping him raise his children. Harry is yet to commit to returning to the UK for his grandmother's Platinum Jubilee in June. Today is the Queen's 96th birthday, which he's marking privately at Sandringham.
Now to FIVEAA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
And it's good morning to Jace Kemp.
And a very good morning to you, Mel. To footy first, and Crows captain Rory Sloane is recovering after having successful knee surgery. In his absence, Adelaide's leadership group will share the role as skipper. Brodie Smith telling Rowey exactly how the new succession plan will work.
Probably do 2 or 3 game blocks where you can actually have a stint at doing it consistently. Bit of continuity for obviously the guy in the role and then also the team.
Former Collingwood President Eddie Maguire has released a bold plan to fix the umpiring crisis. Maguire's plan would see the umpires paid more, but 45 instead of 99 will take the field each week.
So what I'd have is 2 goal umpires and then on the ground 4 umpires and 2 at the other end. Get rid of the boundary umpires, get rid of the goal umpires. The umpires then don't have to run 15, 16, 17 kilometres a day and also bounce a ball, an oval ball for a party trick. Every weekend we send out 99 umpires and only 27 of them can pay a free kick.
Wimbledon has banned Russian and Belarusian players, including Daniil Medvedev, from this year's tournament amid the UK in crisis. Well, finally in the EPL this morning, Manchester City lead Brighton 1-0. City needs a win to overtake Liverpool at the top of the EPL table. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Hardware stores have lots of stuff, but for sliding door parts, visit rollerco.com.au.
Partly cloudy for your Thursday, 21. Partly cloudy tomorrow, 20. Saturday, cloudy and 22. Right now it's 14 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Help create a home for South Australians impacted by cancer. Visit 202greenhill.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday on 5AA Breakfast. Big program coming up today for you. Off to the US just before 7 o'clock today. We've got another ingredient for you, at least one, possibly two. If our MasterChef comp doesn't go off, no one identifies the secret recipe. $2,500 up for grabs. Your first chance shortly after 7 o'clock. We'll flash back with Michael Smith, dissect spin with Matt Abraham, and the man who will be, at least on a rotational basis, we'll try and nail this down with him, be the captain of the Adelaide Football Club, Tom Duday, after 8 o'clock today. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. It's going to be like Project Runway for the next
I hope not.
15. Don't you like Project Runway?
No.
I like that show.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. My wife loves that show.
I don't know why I like it, but I like it.
Because you secretly love fashion?
No, well, that's clearly not it. I mean, people on
Tim
the live
Gunn?
stream.
You like Tim Gunn?
I do like Tim Gunn. I think he's really funny.
Yeah, he's actually quite good.
Yeah, I think he's terrific.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Project Runway is a show on Fox about aspiring fashion models, and they have a whole... No, not models.
No, designers, yeah.
Fashion designers, the next sort of, Maggie Tabaras or Max Maras. And
you are full bottle on this fashion seamstressing stuff, aren't you?
A lot about me you don't know, Will.
You know why it's actually strangely captivating, you say? I think the one area of reality TV that works really well is people who are just exceptionally good at stuff are always fascinating to watch do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's got the right balance of... It hasn't got too much of that sort of feel-good schmaltz that you get on a lot of the sort of reality shows on TV where everyone's a winner. Like there are moments where someone makes something and they just get told, hey, listen, no one's wearing that.
Yeah, they rip it apart.
Genuinely appalling. What are you thinking? But anyway, no, the point I was trying to make very tangentially was, so they're going to have like stand-in captains at the Crows on a rotational basis. May the best man win. Because Rory Sloane, I mean, whatever happens, and Godspeed to him recovering from his injury, but he's only contracted for one more year. I can't imagine he's going to be re-signing when he's 34. By the end of next year, the Crows are going to have to find a permanent new captain.
So everyone's sort of auditioning at the moment then, aren't they?
They are.
Hopefully the dude gets a game, You'd rather have your audition against Gold Coast than against Melbourne at the MCG, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Just for the CV.
Is it? Well, I don't know. Maybe the degree of difficulty could be such
factor
that
it in.
If the Crows were to stay 2 goals behind Melbourne the entire way, or heaven forbid, last year, May 22, the My Birthday blockbuster, when they actually beat them, geez, that was a good night.
We're getting close to your birthday, so what are we, a month away from your birthday? But today is the Queen's birthday. Happy birthday to the Queen. Certainly
Happy birthday.
The
96?
96, Antipodean date. It's the 21st here now, so it's her birthday here.
Yeah.
96 years of age.
So that's 70 years of being the Queen.
Yes.
She was 26.
Yep.
No one's ever held a leadership position for longer than that in the entire history of the planet, have they?
No, they haven't. Not as I understand it. She's the longest reigning monarch. Just full stop.
Because I did this weird Google search yesterday. There's a period in Mexican history called the Porfiriato, named after this guy called Porfirio Diaz. And he was the guy who, in the end, they brought in a rule where no president can ever be re-elected.
Right.
Because old Porfirio Diaz in the 19th century, he was president for 39 years. He was sort of like Tom Playford with a Zapata moustache. Well, they had even better gerrymander. He just didn't hold elections.
Yeah, that fixes that problem, doesn't it?
That's right. But I was thinking, okay, so Porfirio Diaz, one of the longest-serving world leaders ever, 4 decades, the Queen beats him by 3 decades. Well, it's just staggering, isn't it?
Every significant event that's happened on the planet since, before the Second World War, she's been a pivotal figure in.
The other thing too, how strange is it as a human being to have absolutely zero sense of a private life? Like she's never, only maybe briefly in her 20s when her dad was still running the show before he took ill, but the Queen has never had a private life.
Okay, I got some breaking news on this front. So according to the ever trusty Wikipedia, she's actually in 4th place. So
who pips it? What, some guy from the Ming Dynasty? Some Turkish dude from the Ottoman Empire?
This won't surprise you. She's the only incumbent still in the race, right? So of your top 7 that I'm looking at here, she's the only one that's still going and adding to her record. So she might catch some of these.
Oh, does Emperor Hirohito beat her or something?
No, she's 18 days currently behind Johann II of Liechtenstein, who was reigned from the 12th of November 1858 to the 11th of February 1929. So that's a good stint.
Was he born into the role?
That's an extra. I'm not really across Johann's work, so you'll have to give me a little bit more time on that front.
Johann.
18 days behind Johann. Then in 2nd place, Bhumibol Adulyadej,
he was good.
who also knows Rama the Ninth of Thailand,
Rama,
who is pretty recent, 1946 to 2016.
Was he the king of Thailand?
Yep, he was the king of Thailand. So he was 70 years and 126 days. So she's 63 days behind him. No, 53 days behind him.
This is going to be good.
Yeah,
we're going to bookmark this page.
Now here's the tough one though. It's tough to knock old Louis XIV off his pedestal.
Is he one of the Bonapartes?
He made it
Louis XIV?
72 years and 110 days from. And this is pretty good because he goes back a long way. Medical science wasn't what it is today back in the 1600s, 1643 to 1715.
Wow. That's a very long time to live in that period, isn't it?
It's an extraordinarily long period to live. Now, you're right. A lot of these people are the beneficiaries of the fact that they were born and they were the monarch.
Yeah, like the moment they were born. So, so the Queen's given them a 26-year head start.
So, for example, Louis XIV died, Louis the Great, at 76.
Yeah, so a clear.
He was
20
4
years younger
when he became the king.
Yeah, well, I think that's, if you sort of handicap the figures.
How about that? Monarchy Corner, first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I didn't.
It's one of the many benefits of not planning anything in the show.
Have you seen? We'll talk about the Australian debate between Scott Morrison and Anthony Albanese a little bit later. But
do we have to?
If you watched it, folks, we'd love to get your thoughts on it. 8223 text us on the Telstra Storm at Bark. It's excellent. But whilst on France, do you see the French debate happened overnight?
Oh, with Le Pen
and Macron. Have you seen any images of it?
No,
I've just seen a few. I've seen some snippets of it in the news this morning. The way they do debates, there's something very French about it. There doesn't appear to be any moderator. They
just go at it.
They sit across from a desk, eyeballing each other. Like it's almost a camera angle that you never see.
It's a conversation.
It's a conversation, and it's very French. It's all raised eyebrows and this sort of. Sort of shaking the head in this sort of moderated disgust, but it was honestly the most French thing I've ever seen. It was exceptional. So we had ours, which I guess had a very Australian.
Are they smoking while it's
It looks like they should be. It really looks like they should be. Where ours is sort of a couple of people wandering around what looked like a pub on Sky News.
Yeah, just holding a glass of Pernod with ice in it, just rolling the ice cube.
That was great. 14 after 6.
We should get Luce to do a critique of it later.
Yes.
Highlights from the French debate.
Well,
and here's Marine Le Pen landing a real body blow on Emmanuel Macron.
Well, she has been landing a few, actually. There's a real chance there could be a change there.
This is almost like if Pauline Hanson was running against
but
a centre-left sort of leader.
Well, the interesting thing, and not to go too deep now into European politics, but there's a real rise of far-right parties in popularity in Europe. And do you know the demo that's holding them off? Over 60s. Over 60s, the ones that haven't bought into the message. It's almost the exact reverse of Australia. It's
probably
younger people.
They've seen that show before and they know how it ends.
Yeah, I suspect so. But it's younger people in Europe that are voting more progressively.
More conservatively.
Voting more conservatively.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite to the phenomenon we have in Australia.
Well, a lot of it would be cost of living / immigration slash what's the identity of our country going to be like. Whereas I think dabbling with parties like that, people with an older sort of sense of history can probably be a little bit more informed in their suspicion about it.
Yeah, I think that's right. 15 minutes after 6, news headlines coming up in a moment.
G'day, it's Jared for Wayville Mitsubishi. The iconic Wayville Australian Motors Mitsubishi showroom on Goodwood Road is going through an incredible rebuild, but the sales and service centre are still open. Same location, different entrance. Right now you'll need to enter via Goodwood Road for sales and via Davenport Lane for service. Looking for a new Mitsi or servicing your existing car? Get in touch with the amazing team at Wayville Mitsubishi opposite the showgrounds. Driven by Australian Motors. LVD 80.
If you were to come into an aged care facility and see what I see every day, you'd be heartbroken, you'd be disgusted, and you'd want to make a change too, because our residents deserve more.
It's disgusting that you haven't done your job and fixed staff ratios in aged care, Mr. Morrison. Vote to make aged care staff ratios law and help Samantha and her colleagues provide the best care for our elderly loved ones. Authorised by Elizabeth DeBars, Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation, SA Branch Adelaide.
Cancer Council SA is calling on all of us to help build South Australia's new home of cancer accommodation, research, prevention and support.
And we have Kerry Rowlands, Chief Executive of Cancer Council SA on the line. Kerry, can you tell us how listeners and SA businesses can help support this once-in-a-generation project?
We're so excited about our new building, which brings together all of our services and support in one central location to create a home for every South Australian impacted by cancer. By making a donation of just $20, South Australian businesses, along with your fantastic listeners, will be able to help fill the new building with all the equipment needed to save lives and make a real difference to South Australians who need it most. With the new building opening in August, this really is the last chance to make a donation to fill the building with vital equipment and give every South Australian every chance to survive a cancer diagnosis.
It's a fantastic initiative, and to find out more and importantly to donate, visit 202greenhill.com.au today.
Hi ladies, Heather from Joyreen Fashions. Are you finding it difficult to purchase garments that fit correctly, plus make you look and feel good? Come in and let us assist you in your choice of warm winter garments from our new arrivals. We have a great selection in pants, skirts, tops, knitwear and jackets, all in sizes 10 to 24. Don't miss out, come in early while we have the greatest selection. Joyreen Fashions for mothers and daughters, 491 Portrush Road, Glenunga.
We don't just say we're local, we are local. 9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Give me a head with hair.
Visit 202greenhill.com.au and donate to cancer accommodation, research, prevention and support this April.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Everywhere, daddy, daddy, hey. Grow it, show it, long as I can grow it by hair.
18 minutes after 6, news headlines in a moment. A few texts on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line. Mark in Para Hill says, give the captaincy to the dude. He seems a natural leader, plus a funny bugger. Look forward to his TV movie parts. He'll be on after 8 o'clock today.
That would be good. You get some good post-match analysis from the dude, wouldn't you?
He might just quote famous films.
Yeah. Could have been a contender.
Could have been a contender.
Could have been somebody.
Man's got to know his limitations.
Instead of a bum, which is what I am.
Rob says, good morning, I did not see ScoMo Albo, but I predict it was Garbo. Thank you, Rob.
I reckon you're right, Rob. I was trying to watch it, my TV remote stopped working because I bought these useless batteries from the servo that keep conking out. It's true you get what you pay for.
Yes.
I bought this bulk pack of crap batteries by mistake. I was at the servo and I said to the guy, you got any Evereadys or Duracells? He goes, no, I've got these, they're called Vada.
Oh, yeah, the Vadas.
Have you ever used them?
No.
Don't buy them.
No.
Because every single day I had to change the batteries in the remote, and I was going, come on, I want to watch the watch the debate. And we've totally run out of batteries in the house apart from the Vadas, which don't work.
Do you remember when we went through that era of battery recharging?
Oh, yeah, that was all the go
That was the go, and you'd have that little machine, and you'd plug the batteries in, and be like a red light, and it'd go to a green light when they were recharged.
Yeah, and they were purple, weren't they?
Yeah, my father was obsessed with it. We had those machines everywhere in the house. It was sort of a rotational basis of recharging
Did you discuss it with Scott Morrison yesterday?
Probably. He's old, mate.
That's
unbelievable.
Snubbed.
All right, let's get to the news headlines. New opposition leader David Speers is expected to unveil his full front bench today. Liberal up-and-comers Matt Cowdery and Heidi... What the pronunciation last name?
Girolamo?
Girolamo. Heidi
Girolamo.
We'll get to know it because she's going to be the shadow for finance. Matt Cowdery will be shadow treasurer, it sounds like.
You know what's good for the Libs? That you couldn't pronounce her name.
Yes.
And that Matt Cowdery has come out of nowhere to hold a key treasury portfolio. Part of the problem for the South Australian Liberal Party, you know, when you go down to the Adelaide Museum and you walk in and there's that mangy old lion that's been there since about 1971?
Yep.
A lot of them have been museum pieces.
Yeah.
There has been zero turnover, and I'll tell you what, I actually think too, part of the reason behind that might be best evidenced by the sickening and jaw-dropping $301,000 a year pension that Vicky Chapman is going to get, because that old scheme was a heritage protection order for dead wood. Now, the fact that they've actually been completely nuked as a political party might have actually done them a bit of a favour long term.
Yeah.
They've just got to clean out all these old stages, start afresh, let Spears have his head, because otherwise it's going to be hits and memories for that line.
I think that's a really great point. I had to read this out because I think this is fantastic. Paul Starrick's piece in the Tiser this morning detailing the $300,000 a year pension she's going to get. And there's this paragraph. The advertiser sent the parliamentary super estimate to Miss Chapman, who said, quote, "I will be making inquiries shortly to ascertain my entitlement options." It's not. I don't think the advertiser was sending it as a sort of a
helpful exercise.
You might be of interest. You know, you can get $300,000 a year. I think they're making a statement about how ludicrous it is. She received it as though it was financial advice. Yeah, don't worry, I'll be getting onto that. Oh, good, Vicky. That's excellent.
She's got Paul Starrick, chief reporter of the Tiser, confused with the financial planner. But in a broader sense, and thank God they got rid of this scheme in 2004, because I stress, not every politician gets this.
Yep.
There's cheap and cheerful versions that don't get any of this.
A la everyone elected since 2004.
Everyone elected since 2004. The most disgusting part of it is the actual word entitlement.
Yes.
What a sense of entitlement it conveys, don't you think?
Well, it's
just
literally an
extraordinary.
entitlement.
But it's a culture of entitlement.
Totally. It's
what other job
so
do you
out
do
of date.
that hands you that? Like, you know, when we quit radio, we're not going to get some index. Like, I mean, more importantly, we just talk crap for a living.
Yep.
What if you're a copper?
Yeah, you do in the US. Don't you get a pension in the United States as a police officer?
You get a much better pension scheme. That's why most of the cops quit by the time they're 40, 45.
Yeah, that's the incentive, isn't it, to do it?
Mm.
You get
there's a much better
in
chance.
The military, do you get something like that?
Yes. Oh, you do here in Australia up to a point.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to think anything else.
It's not a Vicky Chapman-esque entitlement.
You don't get it for being a nurse, though, do you? Or a carer, or a
I don't think so.
Or a
I think the only people who get anything like that in Australia are soldiers, but I can't stress enough, probably certainly nothing like what the pollies from that generation get.
And I don't think anyone would quibble with that, frankly.
No.
The Bedford Park COVID-19 testing site has been expanded with double the amount of drive-through access. The increased capacity timed with the closure of the Repat testing site, which will close tomorrow due to infrastructure works. The Bedford Park testing site now open for drive-through 24/7 for all ages. More than 4,200 new cases were diagnosed yesterday. There are currently 252 people in hospital. In the US, New Mexico, workplace safety regulators have issued the maximum possible fine to a film production company over the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins, who died on the set of shooting the film Rust after a gun being used by Alec Baldwin went off. And the Queen has travelled to her Sandringham estate to celebrate her 96th birthday. British monarchy historian Sidney McCreery says we can expect Queen Elizabeth to continue to wind back her public appearances, but there are some Platinum Jubilee celebrations that are coming up in June.
And I would be very surprised if the Queen doesn't turn up to some of those events. But I think in the meantime, she's going to be really cautious about her energy, and she's not going to be spending as much time meeting the public as she has in the past.
Good battery-related text from Luke on the Facebook live stream. He says to me, after I just bagged the brand on air, he says, "Dave, Vardas are great. just don't buy batteries that have sat in a survey for 8 years. Maybe that was my mistake, Luke. They did look a bit dusty.
Mark in Largs Bay says, good morning, boys. $300,000 pension for Vicky Chapman, but she won't be buying VADA batteries.
How much strife are we with the people at VADA? Do they advertise with us?
Well, battery aficionado, my father sent in a text saying VADAs are okay. Might be the remote that has an issue.
How would the remote have an issue?
I don't know. This is his area.
He's the old man, the Adelaide tech guy now.
He's always been he was the Adelaide tech guy before the Adelaide tech guy.
Actually, I reckon he might be right. I'll find out tonight. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Oh, yes, good stuff.
Keep you posted on every exciting development and whether my remote control's working or not.
26 after 6. When we return, we're going to talk sport. Because there's been some developments with regard to Wimbledon, where the field on the men's and the women's side is set to open up a bit.
Do you know how protective your face mask really is? Is it PPE Tech protected? PPE Tech manufactures tight-fitting P2 certified face masks. That means they're proven to filter more than 98% of particles. And better yet, they're made right here in Australia. Right now, get free delivery and save up to 40% off disposable P2 face masks. Don't settle for anything less than Australian-made PPE Tech P2 face masks. Order online at ppetech.com.au today. ppetech.com.au.
You deserve to enjoy doing what you're passionate about. Gardening, for example, or walking to keep fit. So if your body is stopping you from enjoying the life you want, come and see us at SportsMed. Our Stepney Healthcare Hub includes our own hospital, orthopaedic surgeons, doctors, physios and podiatrists, so we can see to your care from diagnosis to rehabilitation all in one place. Easy. Get back to doing what you love. sportsmed.com.au.
What about cleaners?
Yep.
Mechanics?
Uh-huh.
Builders?
Oh, yeah.
Whatever hard work you do, CBUS are making your money work as hard as you. Power workers?
Yep.
Factory workers?
Mm-hmm.
What about truckies?
What do you think?
CBUS Super, making hard work pay off. To consider if CBUS is right for you, go to cbussuper.com.au for a PDS and TMD. Past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance.
For over 38 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth the trip. And right now, Steinborners are the place to go for top dollar on your trade-in. They will do any trade, and this month they are offering a further $1,500 bonus on all trade-ins. So go out to one of Steinborner's 8 locations for Hyundai, Mitsubishi, Ford and SA's best range of used cars. View all their used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth the trip.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Help create a home for South Australians impacted by cancer. Visit 202greenhill.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
28 minutes after 6, let's talk sport. All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10-year cap price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi. Wimbledon organisers have announced overnight that Russian and Belarusian players will not be allowed to compete at this year's Grand Slam. Here's the quote: "Given the profile of the championships in the United Kingdom and around the world, is that it is our responsibility to play our part in the widespread efforts of government, industry, sporting and creative institutions to limit Russia's global influence through the strongest means possible." That's a statement from the All England Lawns Tennis Club.
That's a massive story.
Huge.
Given how big Russia is, I can't speak for Belarus, but how many current Russian tennis players are there? Big-name players that are going to be affected by that?
I'm glad you asked. There's four in the top 30, including world number 2 and the reigning US Open champ, Daniil Medvedev, who will be affected and won't be allowed in. So that's 4 players in the top 30, including world number 2. There are 5 Russian women in the top 40 of the WTA Tour rankings. And Belarus has Arina Sabalenka, who's ranked 4th in the world, Wimbledon semi-finalist last year, and compatriot Victoria Azarenka is a former world number 1, currently ranked 18. So that's a stack of big names that won't be able to compete. But the message, I think, is kind of consistent. And often people say sport and politics shouldn't mix. But sometimes when the message is, if you don't want to participate in the rest of the world, you don't get to pick and choose how you participate in the global community. if you're not going to do it by adhering to the rules of, don't invade your neighbour,
Yeah, totally.
you don't get to play tennis with everyone.
Well, I mean, is anyone getting misty-eyed for the days of apartheid?
No.
I mean, the role which sport played in legitimising the successive brutal fascist regimes that totally disenfranchised every black person in South Africa. I mean, crikey, I went to that island where Mandela was in prison, and the most sickening part of that was the inside the Robben Island prison, in the kitchen area, there's a big blackboard on the wall that talks about the food that all of the prisoners are given. Because there are white prisoners there too. So white prisoners got pap, a thing called pap, which is like a starchy dish that they eat in Africa. White prisoners got fruit, meat, pap. Fruit, meat, vegetables, and pap. Then what were called coloureds. There were about 3 different categories of colours. There were Cape coloureds, there were Portuguese, part Portuguese. So the coloureds were given meat and vegetables and pap, but no fruit.
Yeah.
The blacks were given vegetables and pap. So the chef would sit there and go, right, there's all the blacks.
Wow.
And just the dehumanising extent to which that was part of how, like, even mealtime was a degrading exercise. And you think, these bastards have put a lot of effort into that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to play cricket against them.
Yep. Yeah, exactly
And
right.
people go, oh, come on, leave politics out of it. Can't we just enjoy the cricket? Well, not against those mongrels.
Yeah. And these regimes will use sport to legitimise or make themselves seem like they're a bunch of good blokes.
I hope you enjoyed the Russia World Cup, and next up Qatar.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, I think the Socceroos are doing their own protest about going to Qatar at the moment.
Oh, they did very effective protest. Just not scoring at all.
We're very proud of them. 10-year warranty and 10 years cap price servicing at Agostino, Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 21 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
New faces are tipped to get a Guernsey when the new shadow cabinet is unveiled today. Liberal up-and-comers Matt Cowdery and Heidi Girolamo are set to take on the Treasury and finance portfolios. While new leader David Spears has already announced he'll be small business spokesman, Parliament resumes on May 3rd. The Prime Minister has accused his rival of taking China's side over a landmark security deal. Beijing has signed an agreement with the Solomon Islands, which could see a Chinese military presence in our region. Labor is criticising the federal government for failing to stop the deal from being inked. Scott Morrison told last night's leaders' debate in Brisbane he has a strong track record protecting Australia's national security.
It's odd that the Labor Party, rather than acknowledging what is happening here, they wouldn't say, no, it isn't because China is coming in interfering in our region. Somehow, it's Australia's fault. When something of this significance takes place, why would you take China's side?
The business community is calling on the state government to drop close contact rules for COVID as soon as possible. Household contacts in New South Wales and Victoria won't have to isolate if they don't have symptoms from Friday. Business SA's Kendall Crowe says we must fall in line with the national position.
Over 80% of businesses had to run short-staffed due to COVID rules. Certainly a lot of businesses that would really like to see this change flow into South Australia.
Channel 9 Adelaide hopes to return to their regular news programming today. A computer malfunction meant last night's 6 o'clock bulletin didn't get to air. The Melbourne bulletin was beamed into Adelaide instead. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is a step closer to being extradited to the United States to face spying charges. A UK court has formally approved the Australian's extradition, meaning the case will now be decided by the British Home Secretary. An appeal could still be launched in the High Court. In the US, Netflix stocks are in free fall. They've plunged 37% in just 24 hours, wiping $50 billion off the company's value after the latest quarterly results were released. Tens of thousands of impersonators and enthusiasts will head to parks this weekend for the annual Elvis Festival. Festival director Tiffany Steele says the town is buzzing.
There are people in every nook and cranny of the town, people dressed up in theme, having a great time. The vibe is it's electric, it's fantastic.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
It's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with footy, and the Crows and Power will name their sides tonight ahead of their games this weekend. The Crows will be without captain Rory Sloane, who's recovering from successful knee surgery. Brodie Smith telling Rowey the club is throwing their support behind the injured skipper.
He's in good spirits, as he always is, and thankfully sounds like it's all gone perfectly, and now he gets to focus on his rehab, so it'll be pretty slow for him to start with, but I've given him a few pointers already, and obviously Tex and Dudes have been through it as well, so he's got plenty of help.
GWS co-captain Josh Kelly has thrown his support behind Leon Cameron amid speculation about his coaching future, with Cameron's contract due to expire at the end of the season.
You know, all that talk is just background noise for us and for Leon at the moment. You know, we've got a game plan that he puts in front of us, and we've just got to go out and execute that, so that's our focus at the moment.
Boxers Tyson Fury and Dillian White have squared off ahead of Sunday's heavyweight title fight.
Fans are in for a real treat. 94,000 people. They're going to see a good tear-up. I know Dillian personally, and he knows me, and we're going to rock and roll on the night. We're ready to throw down.
Well, finally, Wimbledon has banned Russian and Belarusian players, including Daniel Medvedev, from this year's tournament amid the Ukraine crisis. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Hardware stores have lots of stuff, but for sliding door parts, visit rollerco.com.au.
21 for your Thursday, partly cloudy tomorrow and 20 and 22 on Saturday. Right now it's 14 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Visit 202greenhill.com.au and donate to cancer accommodation, research, prevention and support this April.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 7. Matt Abraham after 7:30 today will rate some spin, and the man who should be captain of the Adelaide Football Club, Tom Duday, after 8 o'clock. There you go. I'm putting a stake in the ground.
Oh, yeah. Not that we're biased, but, you know, vote one, Tom.
Well, I'd say that even if he was on another... No, I wouldn't actually. He'd get stuffed if he was on another program.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Also, a little bit later today, we'll flash back with Michael Smith from 7 News. If you're watching 9 News last night, you'll have noticed something odd happened in a story around something that was odd in and of itself. A hot air balloon that crashed into a house in Victoria was the subject of this story.
It may be some months before answers are known as to why this balloon had to make a crash landing.
Make a crash landing, and then nothing happened after that. The TV seemed to freeze. Lucy was sending a text saying, I think my TV's stuffed, because she thought...
She's probably using the same batteries I am.
Yeah, that's right. Your batteries. She couldn't get Netflix. Everything she figured it was a localised problem. Wasn't. On social media, a lot of people saying, what's going on with Channel 9? Because then they went off the air. Hello SA came on. Then the news came out of Melbourne, which you can imagine gave me chills, David, because I was at a station that One Day for Real just said, we're going to start taking the news out of Melbourne.
Yeah, and then you're down at Centrelink the next day.
Exactly right. Brenton Raglas for 9 News was sitting there on the desk behind the scenes as this all unfolded. Brenton, what happened?
Yeah, g'day, fellas. You're right. Actually, it was that crash landing of the hot air balloon when everything crashed. Will McDonald was halfway through his 5 p.m. bulletin, and there was no way that we could turn around the 6 p.m. local bulletin in time. We just had no levers to pull. In fact, it had all the hallmarks of another cyber attack, which actually happened about a year ago. That set us back about 6 weeks. But even then, we still managed to put the local bulletin to air. Last night, it was like, you know, when you got your own computer and every button you go to was... It was like that. Not even Control-Alt-Delete would work. Now, I know you guys know, but to give you a picture... On any day we put the news to air, and that's 365 days of the year, there's about 40 people here in Adelaide working on air and behind the scenes to put our service to air. And there are so many systems that work, so many technical commands happening all at once. It would be like all the peak hour traffic on the southeastern freeway coming to a halt in the tunnels, nowhere to go. It was, or a bit like Apollo 13, you think of the command centre in Houston when all those master alarms are going off. And just commands being called across the studio floor. It was busier than the drive-thru at McDonald's on a Saturday night. No one really knew what was going on. And it's so disappointing because you know yourself just how much work goes into, say, even a minute's worth of television. Crews are on the ground from 6 o'clock trying to gather their stories and put it all together. all the hard work had been done, and we were ready to go to air with our local bulletin. But then it would be like losing, say, a 3,000-word essay or assignment when you go to find it and print it off or whatever, and it's not there.
I use that excuse a couple of times. So take us inside the scenes. What were the scenes like over the road there, Brenton, at Channel 9 HQ? Was it sort of like flying high? Is there some sort of like tweed-coated, chain-smoking Lloyd Bridges figure sort of standing over the mixing desk going, "We got to make this work. Looks like I picked the wrong day to quit smoking."
It was like, that's very good. I love that movie too. That's classic. It's fantastic. Well, yeah, I'm sure it's like for you guys at the moment. We're down on a lot of stuff. People are on holidays, but there's a lot of people away that are crooked with COVID and all sorts of other things. So we were down quite a number of staff, and in the end, because it's a fairly large studio floor, and it was people running left, right, and centre. Like I said, it had all the hallmarks of our cyber attack, but in the end, it was just a server, and our IT crews worked till late in the night to rectify it. And the good news is we're back to where 5 and 6 p.m. With our local bulletins. But the problem being, I suppose, we had no more levers to pull. Even with the cyber attack, we managed to go to air with a local bulletin because there was enough time leading up to it. But this was, we're on the clock, half an hour to go to the 6 o'clock bulletin, and we had nothing. We had no other choice other than to drag Peter Hitchner in from Melbourne to do the bulletin here, and then we took the Melbourne service. And as you know, when technology's, all fantastic, it's working well for you, it's great, but when it fails, it's devastating, and that's exactly what happened. So naturally, we're grateful for people's patience and understanding that they spotted that something was not right.
I'm glad you said you had no other choice but dragging in from Melbourne, because I saw some South Australians generally have a view that Baghdad might have been a better place to pipe the news in from. Moscow right now, if it was available, I think would have been popular.
You could have taken Russia TV. Good Russia Today.
Run the test pattern. I think news from Melbourne and Adelaide. But as you say, you weren't blessed with choices.
Hey mate, you've been
the test pattern on.
Yeah, exactly.
You remember those days when programming would finish at midnight and you'd have to wait till 6 o'clock before programming would resume, and it was just some sort of classical music for the test pattern overnight. Actually, sometimes
you're probably too young, mate, to remember. It used to be a picture of a young girl drawing a smiley face on a balloon with a texter. That was what the picture was on the test pattern.
I don't remember that, unfortunately. That is taking us back to the Apollo 13 days. My goodness. So, anyway, despite all the master alarms, we're back. Our local team is back, and, like I said, they were very disappointed, but we're very grateful to our loyal viewers. So I'll always be the first to tell you that it's not just us telling you the news, we're sharing the news. We're all just as, involved with the stories, what's happening in our local area. And so it was very, very disappointing, and fortunately we were able to rectify it, but we thank everyone for their patience. It was a bit of a painful night last night, unfortunately.
I can imagine, mate. Good on you. Brenton Raglis, the co-anchor of 9 News, thanks for joining us, mate, and good luck tonight.
We've had our own off-the-air issues previously, haven't we? We had an infamous Adelaide Central Market, Brickworks OB once that didn't quite materialise.
I got to say, there's this nice term in journalism. I was actually dreading that whole conversation with Brenton purely because, the term Murphy's Law. There's a thing in journalism called Muffrey's Law.
Yeah.
Which is whenever an article is published teasing another news organisation for making an error or getting a headline wrong or a typo, invariably that piece contains a typo. And I was just thinking, well, here we are talking about a media organisation having a disaster getting a program to air there, but for the grace of God go us and indeed everybody in the media.
Absolutely. These listeners have got some interesting solutions to what they would have done instead of having the Melbourne news. Someone says should have dusted off Humphrey. Wouldn't have needed sound then. Maybe that would have been possible. Maybe have Humphrey set up in another studio.
He could have just mimed all the news stories.
Sort of just sitting there in front of a news story. That would have been good. Bernie said no Tom Wren, no Channel 9. I mean, I think Rennie's a big piece of this. You get the feeling his sheer energy would have got the bulletin to air.
Yeah, that's right.
Somehow. The kinetic energy of Tom Wren.
We're getting a lot of texts about my battle with my Vata batteries in the remote control, and I think quite rightly the conclusion that you, our beloved listeners, have drawn is that I'm basically an idiot. One here, Harry says, David and technology, probably not the battery's fault. And then Wally the Walnut says, it might be the person using the remote, not the batteries. It's not the batteries that are to blame, but it's the remote. And Jen, with an excellent tip, says, Dave, sunlight can affect batteries, even if they're not in direct heat. Put your pack of dodgy batteries in the fridge and they'll work better in about a week. Didn't know that.
There you go. There's a tip for you.
Thanks.
15 minutes to 7. Let's check traffic for the first time on this Thursday morning. The Robertson Brothers 1960 variety TV show Her Majesty's Theatre, Thursday, May 12. Tickets at the venue.
Cars gone into a building at Salisbury on Commercial Road near South Terrace. Down to 40 in both directions at Aldinga on Main South Road near Thomas Road due to water connection works. Laners out at Plimpton Anzac Highway near Charles Street inbound. And there's a speed camera at Addison Road, Pennington. Amart Furniture's floor stock sale is on now. Find massive savings in store across a range of end of season clearance pieces. Amart Furniture stores open late. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
It isn't waste until you waste it. That's the catch cry from an amazing company called Eco Waste Solutions. Eco Waste Solutions is a hard waste recycling facility, not a dump, located at Williston. They'll take everything except hazardous waste and food scraps. They'll take your waste bricks, your mattresses, tyres, soil, timber, steel, concrete and more. Plus, if you pre-sort your load, you receive a 50% discount on disposal fees. Google Eco Waste Solutions Williston for more.
Hey, it's Callum here. As a chef, I know that confidence in the kitchen equals success. The same goes for buying a new Mazda. You can feel confident in the team at Edwardstown Mazda because they've been doing it for years. Looking for something small, medium or large, Edwardstown Mazda have most models in stock, ready to drive away. But remember, everybody wants to drive a Mazda in 2022, so hurry.
It's gotta be
edwardstownmazda.com.au. LMVD 207428.
Experience the extraordinary. Travel with Shen Yun to discover 5,000 years of wisdom, beauty, drama, and humor live on stage. You're not just watching a performance. You are witnessing a culture reborn. Come see what the modern world has never seen. The beauty and wonder of China before communism. Coming to Adelaide, 10th through the 15th of May. Festival Theatre. Book at shenyun.com or Ticketek.
Your pals say a lot about you. And that's why Parafield Airport Liquor Store put all their pals to the test before they make the shelf. They've made pals with over 300 craft beers, 500 whiskies from around the world, and over 2,000 wines. They know good pals when they see them, and they've got an airport hangar full of pals to introduce you to. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals. Open till late 7 days. Next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
We don't just say we're local. We are local. 9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Help create a home for South Australians impacted by cancer. Visit 202greenhill.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
12 minutes to 7. 21st of April, Thursday, Queen's birthday. Let's talk about the weather here in Adelaide. Vince Rowlands is the senior forecaster on duty at the Bureau. Morning to you, Vince.
Morning, guys.
So what kind of day have we got coming up?
Yeah, look, not a lot of difference during the sort of late morning and afternoon, not what we saw yesterday. A bit of cloud around, top of 21 degrees as we've got southeasterly winds coming over the city. So, yeah, reasonably cool day. Not a lot of change over the next couple of days either. So tomorrow, again, we've got a little bit of cloud around, remaining in that east to southeasterly airstream, a top of 20 degrees. We do warm up a touch on Saturday, up to 22 degrees during the day, but it's really on Sunday when we start to see those temperatures warm up again as we get the wind swinging around to a bit more of an northeasterly. So we've got 25 degrees on the current, with the current maximum is 25 degrees. Now there is a slight chance of a shower in the afternoon and evening and a possible thunderstorm as well. That's maybe looking a bit less likely looking at the latest guidance, so we'll be looking at that one pretty closely today. But as we head into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, those temperatures are still lingering around the mid-20s. So we've got 24 for Monday, 24 for Tuesday and 26 for Wednesday. And we do have a little bit of a trough moving across the state, interacting with an upper feature as well. So it looks like we'll see quite a bit of shower activity extending over parts of the state during that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday period, and likely to affect Adelaide during Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we do have showers on the forecast for those days. So again, we'll be looking pretty closely at the rainfall totals over that period, but generally speaking, we are expecting a bit of shower activity to move through. So yeah, not too bad for the start of the long weekend, but maybe some shower activity around on the holiday Monday.
Yeah, bad news for the Dawn Parade. Good on you, Vince. Thanks for that.
All right, let's turn our attention to SOPOL. Senior Constable Matt Brown's on the line. Morning to you, Matt.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Yeah, we're well. Now, there's been a fatal crash on KI.
That's right. Just before 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, the 20th of April, police were called to the Playford Highway near Bark Hut Road at Kohinoor after reports that a Mitsubishi van had crashed and rolled. And the driver and sole occupant, a 79-year-old man from Pandana, died at the scene, and major crash officers attended the scene to investigate the incident. And the Playford Highway was closed for several hours, but has since reopened. The man's death is the 24th life lost on South Australian roads this year, compared to 37 at this same time last year.
That's very sad, Matt. That's the second fatal crash on KI in less than a month, isn't it, too?
Oh, that's right, David, yes.
I'm just looking at the map now. Bark Hut Road doesn't get much more remote than that. Crikey, it's sort of just stuck there between Cygnet River and Pandana, so very much in the middle of nowhere. Matt, also 2 people have been arrested at a West Croydon servo. What were they up to?
About 2:20 p.m. yesterday, a man and woman entered the Port Road servo and were seen by staff acting suspiciously inside the store. When staff challenged the pair, a man allegedly produced a knife and threatened them. The pair then left with a large bag containing stolen items, and the police patrols flooded the area and located a couple at a nearby train station where they were arrested. So a 22-year-old man of no fixed address and a 25-year-old woman from Parafield Gardens were charged with aggravated robbery and property damage. They will refuse bail and will appear in the Port Adelaide Magistrates Court today.
And just lastly, Matt, a car is driven into a servo in Salisbury.
That's right, Will. One that's just come in just after 6 a.m. today. A white Holden SUV crashed through the window of the OTR on Commercial Road at Salisbury. Unfortunately, neither the female driver nor any staff or customers were injured. However, of course, they were a bit shaken up by the whole incident. Now, SES crews are on scene, as well as other emergency services. There's no structural damage to the building, fortunately. But the driver, a 53-year-old Salisbury woman, she's been taken to hospital as a precaution and also to have a sample of her blood taken. So local traffic police are investigating the collision, so might be a bit busy at the servo there this morning, so you may need to find somewhere else for a warm sausage roll.
Absolutely. Good on you, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
Oh dear, I wonder what that blood test's going to show up. 7 to 7. Let's check the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line, because there's some interesting text coming in at the moment.
Sue in Christie's Beach, with in relation to our flying high reference about Lloyd Bridges, father of Jeff Bridges.
Yes.
Yes. She says, guys, I have Flying High recorded, and it is a go-to. The only movie I've seen more times is Mary Poppins, and in third spot, The Poseidon Adventure.
So, what a mix of genres.
Oh, yeah. So weird to see Leslie Nielsen being serious, and please don't call him Shirley.
But surely you can't be serious. All right, we're going to take a break. We're off to the US in just a moment. We'll have the latest on... in fact, we might do it right now, because there's a couple of interesting stories that have developed over the course of the evening while you've been sleeping. Tim Lester for 7 News is on the line. Morning to you, Tim.
Morning, guys.
Let's start with the Prince Harry interview, because every time he opens his mouth, it makes headlines, and it seems like he manages to offend someone in his own family.
He's pretty adept at it,
yeah.
without I'm sure wanting to do it.
So what's been said?
He's ranged across a couple of things. He's spoken about his living, enjoying living in California, about his 2 children, or at least interrupting him while he's doing Zoom work calls, and how he likes it here. It confirmed that he and Meghan made the first visit to the Queen as a couple since they left the UK back in early 2020. This was on the way to the Invictus Games, and has also spoken touchingly about his mum, and says essentially says that Diana is playing a bigger role in his life now than she has for many, many years. Of course, she died 25 years ago this August. Is playing a bigger role, and he feels her presence, and it's as though she really has taken over helping him establish his family. A quite touching moment.
Hey, Tim, also, this is pretty ominous, and I'll tell you what, when you look at China's about to deploy troops to the Solomon Islands by the sounds of things, and meanwhile, in Moscow, Vlad Putin's puffing his chest out at the inspection of a new nuclear missile which the Russians claim can hit any target on Earth, and it comes with a warning from Putin too.
And they've tested that missile almost as though to prove the point. They've launched this missile in a test in the far northwest of Russia, knowing how big Russia is. 6,000 kilometres the missile travelled to hit a target on a peninsula in the far east of Russia, the Alaska side of Russia. And they've declared the test a success. Now, they warned the Pentagon here in the United States that they were going to carry out this test, but the timing is unmistakable. 8 weeks into the conflict in Ukraine and less than 3 weeks before their annual military parade to show their military muscle, this is an extension of Putin's nuclear warning to the rest of the world, not to mess with what he's doing in Ukraine, essentially.
He made the point that it can evade any missile defence system. It's without peer as far as ICBMs go.
He did.
Has Washington made any official comment to sort of water down the claims or comment officially on the test itself? Officially, no. They've confirmed that they were warned that the test was going to take place through the Pentagon. Experts commenting on this, though, make a couple of points. One, they say that its sophistication, it's right. The missile is very sophisticated. But two, they say it's not yet at the point of full deployment, and it'll take some time for Russia to replace what are quite aging missiles that its nuclear arsenal relies on at the moment. That won't happen immediately. It'll happen over months at the very least before this is in place. But it's a message. It's unmistakably a message from Putin about letting him do what he wants to do, re Ukraine. Tim, thank you for that. Tim Lester for 7 News in the United States. If you Google the Sarmat missile delivery system, and I'm always sceptical of publicly available data on the capability of weapons, modern ones especially, but if you do, it says that its operational range is 18,000 kilometres.
Don't they say pole to pole, that it can go anywhere between the North Pole and the South Pole?
Well, yeah, it's hard to believe that's not the case given. So I just for reference sakes, this morning said, as the crow flies, the website, you can just get the sense of the distance between any 2 points on Earth. Kamchatka, where it landed in Adelaide, is 10,134 kilometres. So just the place where it landed to right here where we're broadcasting right now is just over half the reported range of the missile. Given that, and it's the westernmost point of Russia, the easternmost point of Russia, the peninsula that sort of points downwards towards Japan.
Vladivostok neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's right. It's believable then that it could hit anywhere on Earth if that's half its range. It's, yeah,
this is a world we thought had ended after Gorbachev dismantled the Soviet Union, and the whole end of the nuclear non-proliferation treaty was agreed to and everything, and here we are.
Here we are, minute to 7. We've got some of the news stories of the morning that we're going to go deeper on in just a moment.
Finance your new Navara with Nissan Future Value. Low monthly repayments available and a guaranteed future value, so you can upgrade more often. Visit your Nissan dealer today. Approved private and ABN applicants only. T's and C's apply.
Have you thought about where your face mask was made? Remember, not all face masks are made the same. So when it comes to protecting yourself and your family, think PPE Tech. 100% Australian owned and made. PPE Tech manufactures P2 face masks that comfortably seal to your face and filter more than 98% of particles. Now is the time to protect all Australians and support Aussie-made products. Order online to receive up to 40% off and free delivery at ppetech.com.au. That's ppetech.com.au.
When you think about life-saving equipment, what comes to mind? Here's something you probably haven't thought of: a teddy bear. Teddy bears provide comfort to kids staying in Cancer Council SA's new building on Green Hill Road. The building will have all the vital services and support under one roof for people living with cancer. They need your help to fill it with life-saving equipment, like teddy bears. Items are available to purchase from just $20. Donate now at 202greenhill.com.au.
It's okay to want more, which is why more and more people choose Mawson Lakes Volkswagen to service their car, especially Volkswagen owners. At Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, we offer state-of-the-art servicing, complimentary loan cards, next-day servicing, and breakfast or lunch is on us. Why? Because when you're Adelaide's newest Volkswagen dealer, you want to give more. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city. Visit mawsonlakesvw.com.au and book your service today.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 21 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
A car has gone into a service station in the northern suburbs this morning. Senior Constable Matt Brown has the details.
A white Holden SUV crashed through the window of the OTR on Commercial Road at Salisbury. Unfortunately, neither the female driver nor any staff or customers were injured. However, of course, they were a bit shaken up by the whole incident.
The 53-year-old woman has been taken to hospital as a precaution. A man's been killed in a crash and car rollover on Kangaroo Island. It happened just before 7:30 last night. The 79-year-old from Pandana died at the scene. It's the 24th life lost on South Australian roads this year. It's business as usual at Channel 9 Adelaide today, but it was a different story last night. A computer problem meant the local 6 o'clock bulletin couldn't go to air. We had the Melbourne bulletin instead. Newsreader Brenton Raglis has told David and Will it was all hands on deck when the problem started.
It's a fairly large studio floor, and there was people running left, right and centre. Like I said, it had all the hallmarks of our cyber attack, but in the end it was just a server, and our IT crews worked till late in the night to rectify.
New Liberal leader David Spears is expected to unveil his shadow cabinet today. Up-and-comers Matt Cowdery and Heidi Girolamo will be elevated. They'll share the economic portfolios of Treasury and Finance. Mr Spears has already announced he'll be small business spokesman. State Parliament resumes May 3rd. Scott Morrison and Anthony Albanese squared off in the first leaders' debate of the federal election campaign last night, with the Labor leader narrowly winning the contest. The Prime Minister and Mr Albanese took questions from an audience of 100 undecided voters on topics including borders, national security and the NDIS. Mr Albanese secured 40 votes, Mr Morrison 35. 25 people finished the night still undecided.
Because he was more talking about the future and everything else, whereas Anthony Albanese was more interested in talking about the past.
Pretty even Stevens, I think. Overall, I think Albo probably had a more progressive agenda.
Honestly, I'm going to have to say ScoMo won that one.
I thought Mr Albanese was a little bit more on topic.
Russia says it's conducted its first test launch of a new intercontinental ballistic missile. President Vladimir Putin says the potential addition to the country's nuclear arsenal would make Moscow's enemies think twice. The Queen turns 96 today. Recent health issues meant Her Majesty has not attended traditional events such as the Easter Sunday church service at Windsor Castle. Monarchy expert Cindy McCreary says other members of the royal family will continue to step up as she gets frailer.
Prince William, Prince Charles are doing more of the long-haul travel on behalf of the monarch, and the Queen is really, I think, limiting herself now to engagements within the United Kingdom, and really probably now pretty close to home, namely close to Windsor Castle and London.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
And it's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with tennis first. And Wimbledon has announced a ban for all Russian and Belarusian players. Nine's Craig Gabriel reports.
The decision to ban Russian and Belarusian players from Wimbledon and any events owned and operated by the Lawn Tennis Association has been condemned by the tours. The unilateral decision is unfair and has the potential to set a damaging precedent for the game. Players play as individuals. The Russian and Belarusians also don't have their nations listed and they're playing under neutral flags. Individual athletes should not be penalised because of where they're from. The players have made many comments against the war.
To footy, and Crows captain Rory Sloane is recovering after having successful knee surgery. In his absence, Adelaide's leadership group will share the role as skipper. Brodie Smith telling Rowey, Tom Doedee, Ben Keys, Riley O'Brien and himself all wanted the top job.
I think everyone wanted it outright. It's obviously a massive privilege to captain a footy club, and as I said, we've all stepped up individually. We've all got different strengths, and I think this way we get to see all of them in action throughout the year. So we're all really happy with the decision.
In the EPL, Manchester City is back on top of the table with a 3-0 win over Brighton, while finally the NBA playoffs continue today with 3 games later this morning. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Cars gone into a building at Salisbury on Commercial Road near South Terrace affecting both directions. Down to 40 at Aldinga for water connection works on Main South Road near Thomas Road. Lane is out at West Hindmarsh Port Road near South Road affecting outbound. A speed camera Brodie Road Morphett Vale and Torrens Road Brompton. Settle in for a movie night at home with Channing Tatum and the heartwarming comedy Dog. Critics have labelled it one of the year's must-see movies. Fast track to your home and available now to buy or rent on digital. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Hardware stores have lots of stuff, but for sliding door parts, visit rollerco.com.au.
A partly cloudy Thursday on the way, 21, partly cloudy tomorrow, 20, and then 22 on Saturday. Right now it's 14 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Help create a home for South Australians impacted by cancer. Visit 202greenhill.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Seven after 7, we're flashing back with Michael Smith from 7 News shortly. Matt Abraham on the program from isolation. He's dodged it pretty well to this point in time, up until now, and his timing's interesting because he might be one of the last people in isolation as a close contact. Grant Stevens told us on the program yesterday that is something that's up for discussion as we speak. Peter Malinauskas has been very clear. He wants us to stay in step with the rest of the country, and New South Wales and Victoria have said that close contact isolation is a thing of the past there, will be very shortly. So we're watching that front. But for today, Matt Abraham will be on the phone after 7:30, and then a little bit later in the morning, Tom Doedee, the dude, will join us after 8, and we are looking forward to that. You know what we should do right now? Let's talk food.
Yes.
MasterChef, Fans v Favourites on Channel 10 at the moment. Going great guns, MasterChef. We had a good chat with Jock the other day, Sashi. So many success stories have come out of that show. People that are actual restaurateurs and things.
Yeah, when you look at the favourites who are on it, you think a lot of these people... what about Nido, the restaurant on King William Street, which is now also Fugazi
in the
Highland
city
Street.
here.
Yeah, they're just stunningly good restaurants.
They are very talented people. It's a nice vehicle for talented people to get access to a area they might not have otherwise had the desire. Well, not the desire, but the ability to get into. You have $2,500. Well, we have $2,500 to give away. You have an ingredient to give away that makes up a recipe that won't be revealed until someone guesses it correctly. This is ingredient, what, number 5?
Number 5.
Ingredient number 5. These starts to nail things down often here.
Yeah, it's getting there. Ingredient number 5 is sesame seeds.
Another form of nut?
Another form of nut.
That's our third nut, isn't it?
And I'll give you a clue, it's not a Big Mac. What was it? To all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese...
Tomato, onion...
No, not tomato. Not tomato. To all beef to all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, all on a sesame seed bun.
So this is not a sesame seed bun, is what you're saying?
No.
8223 Give us a call right now. Your chance to win $2,500 cash if you can guess what the recipe's for. Fifth ingredient. 3 of them are nuts. I don't know what to make of that. 8223 If it doesn't go off here and now, there's another clue coming up next hour. And if it doesn't go off then, it will be going off tomorrow morning at some point in time. We'll just keep giving away clues and keep giving people guesses until that $2,500 is in the hands of one of our listeners. I think the first caller through we've got on the line right now is Bob. Morning to you, Bob.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're good, thanks, Bob. How you going, mate? You much of a cook?
Yes and no. I just follow recipes all the time.
Yeah, I'm a big stickler for doing that. I reckon that never trust people who say, I never use a cookbook.
Yeah, no, I use the iPad.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true, isn't it? These days, the old iPad's taken over from the cookbook. A lot of people, hitting up taste.com or whatever. So what's your guess, mate?
Well, my fingers are crossed. I hope it's a granola bar.
Oh, that's a very good guess, mate.
Granola bar?
With everything
Lots
so
of nuts?
far, you could make a granola bar, but I'm sorry, Bob, it is not a granola bar.
Sorry, Bob.
Bad luck, Bob.
Another clue coming up next hour. Another chance to win $2,500 cash. I was actually cooking last night when the debate was on in the background. Scott Morris, Anthony Albanese, first debate of the campaign on Sky News.
When you were Deputy Prime Minister, why didn't you support turnbacks then? So you were going to do turnbacks?
No, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
I just wanted to be clear.
But why is it, Scott, that you're always looking for a division, not looking for
No, I'm just looking for the accuracy and the
truth. Well, the truth is we support boat turnbacks.
But you didn't when you were Deputy Prime Minister and the boats were coming at 30 and 40 a week.
And we'll do it. What we did was we established offshore processing.
That was probably the worst moment for Anthony Albanese in a debate that otherwise the viewers in the audience certainly said he won by way of a margin of 40% to 35%, with 25% still remaining undecided. That was according to Sky's official figures last night. They called each other Anthony and Scott, which all kind of felt odd. It was a very informal setting. Questions were asked by real people, which I thought was a pretty good element to it. It was funny sitting there to watch it. I instantly had a feel. It felt like Anthony Albanese had a lot more riding on it than Scott Morrison.
Oh, for sure. He's one gaff away from total catastrophe.
Yeah, and it was apparent.
He's not already there.
Scott Morrison's strategy was transparent but fairly effective, I think, to try and rattle off every statistic he'd ever heard of in his mind. Like he might as well have, he could have gotten to Canterbury premierships and
that's right.
just like
Exactly.
and here's my first phone number type stuff.
I had this moment yesterday. I got my hair cut, which is hardly breaking news, although I do note that a lot of the listeners were bagging me about my appearance yesterday, so I thought I'd
You're
do
pressing
something about
into
it. But how's this? So Rob, the bloke who cuts my hair, terrific bloke. G'day, Rob, if you're listening. By his own admission, not a political tragic, Rob. Doesn't really follow the news that closely. He just sort of drifts in and out, but, he's busy, he's got kids, he's got different jobs. And I'm sitting in the chair, and he's talking about radio, and he said, so when you and your mate Will come in the morning, he goes, do you have stuff prepared? Or do you just sort of make it up like when you're going along, a bit like Albo does? And then he laughed.
Yeah, right.
And I just thought, ooh.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
And you know what it reminded me of? Prior to the Republic referendum in 99, there was a small dinner at Kirribilli House that I was lucky to attend with the then Prime Minister John Howard. And he asked a bunch of us who were there to go around the table and talk about which of the states, in our view, were going to vote yes to the Republic. And everybody at the table said, New South Wales is going to vote yes to the Republic. And thinking, it's pretty progressive at the moment. Bob Carr's Labor government's comfortably in power. A lot of prominent people here like Turnbull and that promoting the Republic. And Howard went, no. And he said, your newspaper, the Daily Telegraph, had one of those little vox pops in it today with the headshots of 6 young women, and they're all members of the Parramatta Eels cheerleaders. And he said, one of them said, I don't understand the model. One of them said, I don't think we need to change. The Queen doesn't the Queen's never done anything bad to me. I quite like the royal family. The other one said Republic's going to cost too much. And John Howard said, if the Parramatta Eels cheerleaders are voting no to the Republic, New South Wales is voting no to the Republic.
Yep.
And I felt like that yesterday with Rob the hairdresser. I just thought, geez, Albo, you know, you're a great bloke and everything, but if you've become the stuff of a drive-by gag by a barber who's cutting someone's hair, you might actually, but that was my one-person focus group. It felt to me
I think
like there's something in
that's
that.
a reasonable takeaway. Ben asks a good question on the Telstra Storm about Barker text line. Says, genuine question, why is the priority takeaway from a debate in today's Australia about boat turnbacks? It's not on anyone's radar but the press pack. I'll tell you why, Ben, and I actually don't think this is not on merit, because you can't play the whole hour or so long debate. It's the one moment someone made a genuine error. That's why it's newsworthy. It's the one policy position on which someone made just an error of their own position.
One other part of it that's being billed as an error on the Prime Minister's side is the comment that he made talking about the NDIS when a mum in the audience who has a child with autism asked about the NDIS and the levels of support for families of people with disabilities. And the PM responded saying that he felt that he said, I can't even begin to understand how difficult it would be because Jenny and I have been blessed to have 2 healthy children. Now, his use of the word blessed in that context has been, in a very reductive and I think deliberate way, been turned by a lot of people who hate him, but also others who I don't have a dog in the fight, just people of, parents of kids who do have disabilities, into some sort of slur on children with disabilities, whereby in saying that he and his wife feel blessed, he's suggesting that others who do have children with disabilities are somehow cursed or that they're a burden. And it's gone mental on
Bill
Twitter.
Shorten, I saw, tweeted about it.
Yeah, well, they're all queuing up to tweet about it. And I just...
Isn't that the most normal turn of phrase that people often use?
Well,
we've been very lucky.
I think
people
it is.
Say
and
things
this
like
is
that.
where I think it's a classic example of something that Labor seems to be, because they're so informed by the Twitter vibe, they're trying to conflate that as a massive, insulting, disgusting gaffe by ScoMo, who's almost saying that children with disabilities are some sort of, you've been cursed for life. Where it's like it's like an honest and sincere, and it's an attempted form of empathy by him. And I reckon all these smash-up attacks on ScoMo over things like that actually could potentially play into him, where the average punter's going to go, oh, for God's sake, cut the bloke some slack. He's not saying, sucked in, you've got a child with autism. But that's the world we now live in, and this is why politics has become so completely repulsive.
Yeah. 17 after 7, let's check traffic. The Robertson Brothers at 1960 variety TV shows on at Her Majesty's Theatre, Thursday, May 12. Tickets at the venue.
Cars gone into a building at Salisbury on Commercial Road near South Terrace. Speeds are down to 40 at Mitchell Park on Dawes Road near Walter Avenue. One lane is closed there. Speeds are reduced at Irvingham Torrens Road near Park Terrace, affecting both directions. 2 lanes are out at Bedford Park on the Southern Expressway near Sturt Road. That's affecting both directions there. Right now, at the 40 Winks famous 40-hour sale, get up to 40% off big brand mattresses and more. Hurry, offer ends Sunday. 40 Winks, serious about sleep. Exclusions, T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
3 words your friends and family never like hearing.
We're moving house.
Well, you can always rely on budget truck and car rentals to help out. From 3-ton moving trucks you can drive on a car licence to vans and moving trailers. Budget car and truck rentals make it easy as to move house. Do it right in half the time and save money with budget car and truck rentals. Call 13 27 27.
Don't just send it, ace it. If your current job is driving you bonkers, well, get outdoors and hit the road. Here's Chris from ASIC Couriers to tell you how.
Thanks, Rowey. ASIC Couriers is growing, and we need more drivers to keep our promise of perfect service. So if you want a career that'll take you places, get in touch with us at ASIC Couriers. Visit asiccouriers.com.au.
Don't just send it, ace it.
Peaceful living awaits at the 19th at West. With golf course views, tree-lined walking trails, a new cafe and retail shopping precinct, the best of the West is at your fingertips. With new 3 and 4 bedroom designs and prices beginning from just $730K, it's no surprise 19th at West is selling quickly. Discover the new collection today. The19thwest.com.au. Delivered by Commercial and General, proudly creating South Australian communities for 25 years.
The crowd roars as the scores are level deep in the last quarter with a snap from the boundary. The players are celebrating on the field, but Sarah's feeling the real excitement with her mates in the crowd. It's another game day in the Host Plus Sandful League, and Sarah's found the perfect way to catch up with friends.
For all those game day vibes, don't miss the Host Plus Sample League this weekend. Nothing beats it. Visit sample.com.au for match info.
G'day, it's Jared for Southern Mitsubishi. Thinking Mitsubishi or servicing your existing car? Southern Mitsubishi is your absolute go-to. Their state-of-the-art servicing technology and world-class quality control systems will ensure your vehicle gives you many years of hassle-free motoring pleasure. The same goes for buying a new Mitsubishi. They stock the full range, all designed to thrill. So get in touch with the amazing team at Southern Mitsubishi, 147 Main South Road, Morphett Vale, driven by Australian Motors, LVD 80.
We don't just say we're local, we are local. 9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Visit 202greenhill.com.au and donate to cancer accommodation, research, prevention and support this April.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
It's 21 minutes after 7. Matt Abraham after 7:30. Writing some spin. He's had a plethora of spin to work through over the course of the first part of this year. State election, now federal election. He's had a plethora. Three amigos.
A plethora of piñatas.
I'll have a plethora.
What is a plethora?
I don't think anyone ever used the word before it appeared. Said by Steve Martin or Martin Short that says it in Three Amigos.
I think it's Martin Short.
Martin Short.
Talking to El Guapo.
Yeah. Certainly where I learnt the word. Anyway,
we
there
digress.
we go. All right, let's flash back. We flash back slightly. Let's go back a little bit further with Michael Smith from 7 News. Morning to you, Michael.
Buenos dias, Senior Goodings y Senior Penberthy.
Muy bien, thank you, Michael. How are you going, mate?
I'm very well, thanks. But it's strange to think that if I was listening to you guys 50 years ago, I would have needed a license, not to prove that I have excellent taste in quality broadcast entertainment, but simply for owning a radio. On Flashback this week, we're going back to the days when you needed a radio or television license. The radio licenses introduced back in the 1920s, TV licenses, of course, in the 50s. They were basically a way of raising revenue for the federal government. To give you an idea of how much they cost, a TV license in 1959, when television first came to Adelaide, cost £5 a year. That's about $165 in today's money. You get it from your local post office for a year, so pretty expensive. But if you were caught without one, you could be fined £50, which was about $1,600 in today's money. Oh. And the old Postmaster General's office used to have inspectors that would go door to door. So if you got a knock at the door, they found out you had a TV or radio and you didn't have a license, you were in huge strife. There were famous television commercials fronted by the late Frank Thring to encourage people to get their licenses. And there were some very scary radio spots as well. Have a listen to this.
Are you a law-abiding citizen?
Of course I am.
Yes, of course.
If you have a radio or television set without a license for each, you are breaking the law. Widespread checks are now being made. Be ready for the PMG inspector and avoid a heavy fine.
How about that? Wow. If you went to the post office, wouldn't you?
I find this extraordinary. I had no idea that this was the case, Michael. Actually, I wonder if any of our listeners can recall having to pay the TV licence or even worse, the fine. That is a staggering amount of money by today's standards. $165 a year just to watch the idiot box.
Exactly. And Adelaide's first TV licence was sold to a woman called Joan Jackson. And Joan was so excited about television, she bought her set and her licence in April 1959, which was 6 months before transmission even began. Joan lived at DeCosta Park. I had to look that up. Do you know where DeCosta Park was?
All I can think of is the DeCosta Arcade.
Well, it's actually down at Glenelg East. So we've got Joan, photo of Joan, which I've tweeted this morning with her proud television licence. And I've also caught up with John Doherty, the great John Doherty, who was Adelaide's first television newsreader. And he says people went to all sorts of strange extents to try and hide the fact that they had radios or televisions in case the inspector knocked at the door and they didn't have a licence. But when you bought a radio or television or hired one in those days, you had to provide your address. So the PMG's department knew who had radios and televisions, and then they could make a beeline for your front door and find you if you didn't have one.
What a great story. And I encourage people to go to Michael's Twitter, @MichaelSmith_, where you'll see a picture of Joan Jackson, who does look really happy. And just check out the TV too. It's obviously a TV with analog buttons and a dial, a physical dial, but the placement is on top of the television. It's at the top as opposed to the side, which came many years later. Great picture, great story. Good on you, Michael. Michael Smith from 7 News with that flashback. Getting a few texts on Scott Morrison's use of the term blessed.
Yeah, one from Mark, which disagrees with what he said. He said he was dead wrong, lads. He's just trying to personalise something to show what a good bloke he is. We are all blessed to have children. One here from Quentin saying, we are blessed to have the NDIS, and I'm blessed in having a child with autism, but I have no problem with what Scott Morrison said. And Stephen in Paynham has a crack at me. He says, come on, David, last week you used a focus group of 5 people by the AFR to have a go at Albo. Now you're using a focus group of 1. What next? The only point I was trying to make, Steve, was that you don't want to get to the point in politics where you become, you enter the popular vernacular, e.g., he's done as Stephen Bradbury.
That's right. It's a moment that's cut through. And that's worthy of commentary and analysis. Because I think, generally speaking, I think he's better than that moment.
Oh,
Anthony
for sure
Albanese. He's better than that moment. But to a lot of people who don't pay close attention, he is that moment.
Yeah,
like that's their
that's
their
right.
touchstone with him. He's that guy. Which takes a long way coming back from. Someone texted, I think you in England, you still need a TV licence. You do. As I understand it, because it funds the BBC, and it's been a political issue fairly recently where people have talked about scrapping it, and then, well, what does that mean for BBC programming and local content and things like that?
One here from Jimbo saying Morrison talked about turning back the boats, but he got caught out sleeping at the wheel on China and doing a deal with the Solomon Islands. Double standards in my book. I agree with that. I actually think that we've handled the whole Solomon thing appallingly, and maybe we spent too much time shouting at Beijing and not enough time. And this is where cutting the foreign aid budget. A lot of people go, charity begins at home.
Yep.
It's like, well, if you want to go down that one nation-esque path,
this is what happens.
This is what happens because somebody else fills the vacuum.
Defence policy for a generation in Australia now we built around how do we deal with the Solomon Islands question. Everything we buy, everything we position, everything we build is going to be, well, we're going to have to fight potentially war in our own backyard now. And that's totally changes our whole strategic perspective.
100%.
Let's talk sport. Book your service online at North Point Toyota to win the cost back. It is the North Point way. Umpiring again on the agenda with Stephen Rowe last night.
I tend to agree with Lee Matthews a little bit. I just heard his comments earlier. I think it's certainly something I support from a looking after the umpire perspective. But my concern, Rowey, was probably the one that we saw on Monday with Gunston Williams and Tom Mitchell talking umpire 50 metres off the play. There's no focus on them. It's a conversation between 3 adults, and I can't see how that could be formed as abusive or disrespectful. And we've got to be very careful we don't sort of, muddy the lines with players and umpires in our current relationship with them, because I think it's pretty healthy at this point in time.
Yeah, that's former umpire Dean Margetts, I think, making a fairly sound and level-headed point on this. The big sports story that's developed this morning is Wimbledon organisers cancelling the ability for Russian and Belarusian players to participate, both men and women. That means 4 Russian men, including world number 2 Daniil Medvedev, who are ranked in the top 30, won't be participating at Wimbledon. It means 5 Russian women in the top 40 won't be involved. And Belarusian women, Arina Zabalenka, who's currently ranked 4th in the world and was a semi-finalist last year, won't be participating. And Victoria Azarenka, a former number 1, who's currently 18 in the world, won't be there. That's a big move and a big story, as the message right across the Western world to Russia is, if you can't play by the rules, you can't play at all. Basically. 28 minutes after 7. More from Stephen Rowe on the Sports Show tonight. Book your service online. North Point Toyota to win the cost back. It is the North Point way.
For over 38 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth a trip. And right now, Steinborners are the place to go for top dollar on your trade-in. They will do any trade, and this month they are offering a further $1,500 bonus on all trade-ins. So go out to one of Steinborner's 8 locations for Hyundai, Mitsubishi, Ford and SA's best range of used cars. View all their used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth a trip.
7 News is Adelaide's news. Adelaide's #1 weather.
Looking at cooler temperatures by the end of the week, though.
And first for Adelaide sports news.
First 2 breaking news.
Adelaide's leading local news. 7 News at 6.
Comfort is more than a word, and it can be hard to explain, but if comfort was something you could wrap around you, something you could sink into, it would definitely be Mini Jumbuck.
These things are fantastic. It's such a wonderful, so many wonderful products. Mini Jumbuck, they're now located in McLaren Vale, so it's also a good excuse. There's no bad reason to go to McLaren Vale. Get down there, hit the wineries, hit the distilleries, the breweries. But first, when you get to beautiful McLaren Vale, make sure you call into Mini Jumbuck, because they are the makers of Australia's favourite wool bedding products. I was thinking last night, first time in a while I've been cold.
Yeah.
I needed some mini jumbucking.
Yeah, you did.
Made from the finest Australian wool.
It's good stuff. In fact, Mini Jumbuck have been using quality Aussie wool for over 40 years. Handcrafted quilts, mattress toppers, pillows and more. They also stock a huge range of Ugg boots and merino wool clothing. So if you're looking for comfort, the word you're looking for is Mini Jumbuck.
Visit Mini Jumbuck McLaren Vale today. It's open 7 days. South Australian made and South Australian owned.
When you're gone, who gets your vintage bottle top collection? The cricket bat you scored your first ton with? Or that precious family heirloom that's been handed down from generation to generation? If you don't have a will, you'll never know. Donlan Lawyers specialise in wills and estate planning. From the simplest to the most complex, one thing is certain. You can trust Donlan Lawyers to help protect your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 21 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
A car's driven into a shop window at a Salisbury service station. Just after 6 a.m, an SUV crashed through the window at the OTR on Commercial Road. Neither the female driver nor any staff or customers were injured during the incident. The unlicensed driver, a 53-year-old Salisbury woman, has been taken to hospital for a blood sample. A man has died in a crash on Kangaroo Island. Senior Constable Matt Brown says a Mitsubishi van crashed and rolled on the Playford Highway.
A driver and sole occupant, a 79-year-old man from Pandana, died at the scene, and major crash officers attended the scene to investigate the incident. The man's death is the 24th life lost on South Australian roads this year, compared to 37 at the same time last year.
Scott Morrison and Anthony Albanese took part in their first leaders' debate of the election campaign in Brisbane last night. The pair fielded questions from 100 undecided Queensland voters on topics such as housing, aged care and trust in politics. Over the past 10 days, Mr Albanese has been forced to correct a number of stumbles, some related to illegal boat arrivals. The Labor leader pressed by the Prime Minister on border protection.
So when you were Deputy Prime Minister, why didn't you support turnbacks then?
You weren't proposing that then.
No,
you were not proposing.
I'm sorry, we were. It was our policy. So why did you not support turnbacks?
We had established offshore processing. That was the first step.
SA's hospitality industry is urging authorities to follow the eastern states' lead and scrap close contact rules. Victoria and New South Wales are relaxing COVID isolation requirements from Friday. It means people who live with someone who tests positive won't have to isolate for 7 days if they don't have symptoms. The AHA's Ian Horn says similar changes need to be made here.
It is the one burden for the employees and the staff. It is managers and operators are pulling their hair out literally because they just can't get enough staff at the right time.
Qantas CEO Alan Joyce has again blamed passengers for the airline's issues. In an email to staff offering a staff travel voucher for working additional shifts, Mr Joyce says passengers turning up early for their flights caused the overflows in baggage facilities. He refers to the Easter travel period as the perfect storm, despite the majority of flights being booked 6 to 8 weeks ahead of time. A UK judge has ordered the extradition of Julian Assange to the US. The decision handed down in a brief 7-minute hearing in a London court. The UK Home Secretary still has to rubber stamp the development. The defence have until May 18 to make submissions. Johnny Depp has been back in the witness box in a US court where he's suing his ex-wife for defamation over domestic abuse claims. Amelia Adams has more.
Taking the stand in a Virginia courtroom, Johnny Depp described how his marriage to Amber Heard turned toxic. He claims she was violent, refused to let him see his children, and verbally bullied and insulted him.
It's to bring you down. It's to demean you. It's to bring you into a place where you start to believe that there's something wrong with you.
The situation reaching boiling point during the couple's visit to Australia in 2015, when Depp claims Amber Heard threw a bottle of vodka at him, severing part of his finger, landing him in a Gold Coast hospital. Amber Heard will take the stand to tell her side of the story in the coming days. Johnny Depp is seeking $67 million damages over domestic abuse claims. Heard is countersuing.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with tennis, and Russian and Belarusian players will not be allowed to compete at Wimbledon this year because of the invasion of Ukraine. More from BBC's Andy Swiss.
Wimbledon will be the first major tennis tournament to ban all players from Russia and Belarus, and it means this year's championship will be without a number of leading names, including the men's world number 2, Daniil Medvedev, and the women's number 4, Arina Sabalenka. Former Ukrainian player Alexander Dolgopolov has praised Wimbledon's stance, saying it has stepped up and shown the world an example.
To footy, and the Crows have brought in an AFL umpire to explain the strict dissent rule. Brodie Smith telling Rowey players will be doing their best this weekend to not give away 50-metre penalties.
We did have an umpire in last week at training, and they explained to us that the new arms out rule, so as soon as you put your arms out, it's 50 metres. If you keep your arms by your side, you can almost do what you want without saying anything, is my belief. So just don't put the arms out. That's the big one.
In the EPL, Manchester City has moved 1 point clear of Liverpool on top of the table after defeating Brighton 3-0. Boxers Tyson Fury and Dillian White have squared off ahead of Sunday's heavyweight title fight, while finally the NBA playoffs continue later this morning. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Speeds down to 40, affecting both directions at Aldinga for water connection works on Main South Road near Thomas Road. There's a lane closure at West Hindmarsh on Port Road near South Road, affecting outbound, and Plympton Anzac Highway near Charles Street inbound. A speed camera Commercial Road, Seaford Meadows, and Hampstead Road, Broadview. For a limited time, all OTR pies and sausage rolls are just $2 every Friday. Head in store or order on the app. T's and C's apply. OTR, making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Hardware stores have lots of stuff, but for sliding door parts, visit rollerco.com.au.
A top of 21 today and partly cloudy, much the same tomorrow, 20 and 22 on Saturday. Right now it's 13 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
I don't really like talking on radio, but I do like talking about our cows at the FIVEAA Milk Company. And I love helping support SA dairy farmers. They're a great bunch with beautiful families. They work day and night to produce the best milk in SA. So when you're in the supermarket, look for FIVEAA Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it. I'm getting good at this.
FIVEAA Milk Company, celebrating 15 years of SA business. FLURIOMilkco.com.au.
Let me tell you about St Kilda Hotel. Legend has it, long before the Schnitties and St Kilda playground over there, this pub was a hideaway for the daring few who wanted a cold one after hours. A watchman kept lookout for cops, and this secluded little pub became a sanctuary for the few that knew about it. Still is. Good old school hospitality. Now you know. This table's waiting for you at St Kilda Hotel.
Don't you ever let a chance go by.
Visit 202greenhill.com.au and donate to cancer accommodation, research, prevention and support this April.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 8. If you're using watching about this time on the 5AA Facebook or YouTube live stream, proudly partnering with Cancer Council SA, you'll see we're joined in the studio by Matt Abraham, but right now there's just an empty chair because Matt, despite his best efforts, and I would suspect among the best efforts made by anyone anywhere in South Australia to avoid quarantine, has failed to do so. So he's locked away at the moment, unfortunately. The magic of technology means we can still talk to him though. Matt, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David.
So, Matt, in an abundance of caution, despite not having the coronavirus, you and your wife have been incarcerated for how many days now?
This is our last. I think we're free. Well, I've tweeted a rather disturbing shot of me about to put a cotton bud up my nose. And
Rather's putting it mildly. I thought it was deeply disturbing.
I'm giving you live on air, this is exclusive, the final rat test, which is negative.
Hang on, I need one of these. Hey! So
in about an hour and 20 minutes from now, Matt, you'll be down at Mitre 10. First taste of freedom.
Exactly. Throughout this quarantine period, this ISO close contact, neither my wife nor I have COVID, but close contact. I've been thinking of the phrase that Caleb Bond, a columnist for the Advertiser, coined, and that was, we're being punished for the misfortune of not having COVID, of not catching COVID. And, there are tens of thousands of households in this situation right now as we speak. And I think that's going to change, and it might change faster than even the Police Commissioner was flagging yesterday on your program. And by the way, we'll come to this in a minute, but it was quite a significant interview yesterday with him on a number of fronts. But he was saying that he's flagging pretty clearly with New South Wales and Victoria, effectively, just opening up, ending household ISO for close contacts. In a very comprehensive way, both of them yesterday. Now, he's saying that Premier Malinauskas wants national consistency, so that's one big hint, and they're meeting next Tuesday of the Emergency Management Cabinet thing. We'll look at this. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, okay, next Tuesday, and then they're talking about maybe they'll lift it in weeks. And I think there'd be a big mood to say, well, why were we going to wait that long? I understand that there's a chance, that's the plan at the moment. There is a chance it might happen sooner than that, in the next day or so. And I'll tell you why. As I understand, I put in a number of calls last night. Professor Nicola Spurrier, who's the key to this, is going on leave next week, and no one would begrudge her that. If she's not able to be at that cabinet meeting on Tuesday, the emergency cabinet meeting, they may bring it forward. So it may happen Friday. For all I know, it might happen today. It might happen over the weekend. It depends how they manage that. But they're very keen, and the Premier's very keen, not to let it go on a minute longer than it needs to. So it's just something to keep an eye on.
So you reckon it might get brought forward, Matt?
Yeah, I think it may. It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
The school holidays are a bit of a circuit breaker,
aren't ridiculous. It's getting completely ridiculous. I mean, the fact that you're locked up, and I mean, you don't work full time anymore, Matt. What about people in your position who do?
This is exactly right. Now, as I understand it, the other thing I've picked up from my sources is that one of the arguments that the government is making to SA Health is, look, at the moment, we all accept there is a high level of non-compliance because the penalty for complying is, if you've got I'm okay. I mean, a week at home, the boat's polished within an inch of its life. I've even sort of modified my burley pot. We're drilling bigger holes in it. I've done all those essential things. If you've got a small business, it's no laughing matter. You can go bust. If you or your wife can't run the family business or your kids can't help, whatever that is. So in those respects, it's actually damaging. And so we know that there are a lot of people who, and these are decent sort of law-abiding people, who are saying, I just can't afford to report a positive test because we're going to be banged up for a week. And so the government is saying, if you look at the new New South Wales and Victorian model, they're saying, well, isn't it better to have people, give them the freedom, and they'll be able to, people who have COVID, of course, they're going to stay at home. They're going to have to stay at home. But people who don't, who are close contacts or family contacts, household contacts, they're just going to rat test. So at least we can track that. And they can go about their business. You know, but rat test, and they'll need to wear masks if they're in a shopping centre or an office or something like that. That's no big deal.
Yep,
and you'll get a higher level of effective compliance.
Yeah, absolutely, totally reasonable too. I know so many people. Well, I had it in the last 2 weeks. Lived with 2 people, neither of whom got it, and were being tested every day. It was abundantly clear at no point during the process they have it, but were kept from going to work. And I've heard so many people that have had similar stories to that. So that seems like an entirely reasonable approach, especially as you say, where you can totally understand there are casual workers out there that right now are going, stuff it, I can't afford not to be at work anyway.
Exactly.
So it's happening.
Well, you know, the other thing too that was interesting yesterday, talking to Grant Stevens, and certainly this isn't a knock on him, but I actually think, either inadvertently or by design, drew attention to the somewhat farcical nature of the arrangements now, where in documenting his very serious struggle with influenza A over the last fortnight that was vastly worse than what he suffered earlier in the year when he had COVID, as the rules currently stand, he is legally prevented from leaving the house, as indeed are all of his close contacts in the event that he has COVID. But with the much more serious influenza A that left him completely bedridden for several days, he's free to do whatever the hell he likes.
Yeah.
So where is the logic in any of this?
Exactly. I mean, that to me was a really significant thing that he said. You know, he said he wouldn't wish the flu that he had on his worst enemy. Now, being police commissioner, I think it's fair to say he's got a lot of worst enemies. And he said he didn't even have to wear a mask. He didn't have to report it. Now,
well, he made the point too about how when it came to the management of influenza, for him it all came down to personal responsibility, and that is pointing to exactly what you're talking about now when it comes to COVID.
Exactly, and that's what I found really significant about his interview yesterday, and I went back through it and I've sort of made notes of this. He said we need to continue doing things that won't be mandated by directions or a declaration, but where we're going to have to take that responsibility ourselves. Now that's a significant shift in thinking. I'd say it's coming from the top as well. I think he's working very well with new Premier Peter Malinauskas. You know, there's a subtext here, and it's pretty clear where they're moving. And so I don't think, I'd be very surprised if we have to wait weeks for household isolation to end.
Yep, I think that's right.
I'd be very surprised.
Now, we'll do 2 quick things before you go. What your thoughts on the whole Vicky Chapman, David Spears, Monday in the Liberal Party event, and then we'll do Spin of the Week.
Yes, we will. Well, David Spears was elected convincingly by the party room. I think that was a bit of a surprise. It looks like the 5 votes for Josh Teague included his and the other 4 surviving moderates. Nick Bride's vote, I assume his 1 vote was him. And David Spears got the rest. And he had about, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of grace before we got the news that Vicky Chapman was resigning in the seat of Bragg. And that just really threw a huge pall over what should have been, a pretty good first day for him as leader, very strong majority in the party room and an endorsement in the party room. And so we're now going to have a by-election in Bragg. And I think that's going to be high risk for the Liberal Party. Very high risk. They could lose Bragg. And I think the margin's only about 3% now. It's meant to be a safe seat, but it's not anymore. Rick Sarr, who's sort of the Liberal candidate you'd have when you're not having a Liberal candidate,
He's had a few cracks too in the past, hasn't he?
Oh yeah. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
He's a professor of law. very genial bloke.
My
very
professor in
intelligent.
media law for a while, actually, Rick Sutton.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. That's why you don't get sued.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well,
so
judge of his work.
And I had somebody, a Liberal, not an MP, but a Liberal last night saying, "Oh, look, Bozo the clown." Bozo the clown, if they're a Liberal candidate, will win Bragg because, Vicky Chapman got 53% of the primary vote. Well, I replied that in Frome, Rob Kerrin had 52% of the primary vote and lost it to Brock in the by-election, and that was nearly it was over 2 years after the election. This is weeks after the election. Susan Close in Port Adelaide, when Kevin Foley, again mid-term and quite reasonably, retired, there was a by-election. She nearly lost that.
Yeah.
And Kevin Foley's primary vote was nearly 50%. So it's losable. It's it's a high risk strategy.
It's a good point. All right, let's rate some spin.
9 out of 10, out of 10, every time.
Now, David Spears himself said he may need subtitles. So if you're watching this on Facebook, I hope you've got the subtitles enabled. This is David Spears responding to the timing of Vicky Chapman's announcement.
The timing wasn't ideal. That's the long and the short of it.
Now, I don't know whether to give that the Understatement of the Year award. But in terms of spin, I'm giving it 2 out of 10.
Good on you, Matt. Excellent, Matt. Enjoy your day of freedom as it comes up. Your local Mitre 10, friendly service, expert advice, quality brands at great prices. That's mighty helpful. Mitre 10. Time to check traffic. The Robertson Brothers 1960 variety TV show, Her Majesty's Theatre, Thursday, May 12. Tickets at the venue.
Speeds down to 40 for water connection works at Aldinga Main South Road near Thomas Road, affecting both directions. One lane is out at West Hindmarsh Port Road near South Road, affecting outbound, and Plympton Anzac Highway near Charles Street inbound. 2 lanes are out at Halloran Hill Main South Road near Majors Road, and there's a speed camera Regency Road Prospect. Style your home with freedom. Save up to 30% off all homewares, including cushions, rugs, lighting, wall art and more. Hurry, up to 30% off all homewares ends Monday only at Freedom. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
I feel like I've been counting sheep all night.
Sounds like you need circadian.
Don't you mean circadian rhythm?
No, circadian. It's prolonged release melatonin and it helps improve sleep quality.
Circadian?
Yeah, circadian. And it's now available without prescription from your pharmacist. Thinking melatonin? Think circadian. Sleep better, live better. Visit circadian.com.au. For people 55 years or older, ask your pharmacist. They must decide if this product is right for you.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, the team at Lynn Andrews Real Estate have made it easy to manage residential and commercial property. Whether you own a single residential home or multiple commercial properties, our passion for property investment means we have a great deal of knowledge to share. How to invest safely and properly. Matching the right tenant with the right property every time. We're here to help. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
If you've got to keep it cool, you need budget car and truck rentals, especially if you're in business. Budget car and truck rentals have a fleet of refrigerated vans, trucks and cool rooms standing by to keep your business in business. Transporting or storing flowers, chocolate and all fresh produces. Keep it cool in a refrigerated van, truck or cool room from Budget Car and Truck Rentals. Oh, great for parties too. Call 13 27 27. That's 13 27 27.
Don't just get a forklift. Get a Toyota forklift.
When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift. Get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability. Get world-leading safety. And get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage for sales, service and hire.
Get a Toyota forklift.
It's not often you get to go behind the scenes of one of Adelaide's top home builders. Well, at Beechwood Homes, you can. The stunning Beechwood display home at Blackwood Park has just been sold, but that doesn't mean you miss out. Call Steve from Beechwood and he'll take you behind the scenes of other Beechwood masterpieces currently under construction. You'll get an incredible insight into what makes Beechwood homes an SA favourite. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Help create a home for South Australians impacted by cancer. Visit 202greenhill.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 to 8, Tom Duday coming up after 8 o'clock. Really interesting breaking at 8 as well, that's not too far away. Then after 8:30, the new Shadow Treasurer, Matt Cowdery. He's actually my local member in Carlton. Looking forward to chatting with him, one of the fresh faces as part of David Spears' team in the South Australian Liberal Party.
You should ask him lots of really specific questions about things like,
sand carting,
Grange Roundabout, things like that.
The Grange,
just near the excellent Barn Me store there on the corner of Military Road and Grange Road.
The Grange. What about the phone tower?
5G.
5G.
How like that?
I'm the most pro 5G guy on the street. I shouldn't talk about that, should I?
We was a member of a one-man local lobby group called People of Grange in favour of 5G towers.
Yeah. So how much was the Voles Club getting?
Yeah, that's right.
No, my neighbours can relax. It's time for John Blake. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
And now the brand spanking new leader of the South Australian Liberal Party, David Spears, with another tip for real happiness.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, here is David Spears with some advice. We're very concerned with the stereotype, so we're going to try our best not to say bagpipe.
This is David Spears, the leader of the South Australian Liberal Party, with another tip for real happiness. If you want to be really happy, be a politician who was born in Galway, Scotland. This will ensure that you're rarely parodied by so-called comedians, because my accent is so hard to do. And the problem for them is they'll get criticised for making me sound like I'm from Northern Ireland or Wales or anywhere but Scotland. And don't let them use the excuse that I've been living in Australia for 20 years, which has made my accent sound a little bit more Irish than Scottish. That's just a lame excuse for a glaring lack of talent. Anyway, that's my tip for real happiness. I know that you really want to know what I think of Vicky Chapman. Well, between you and me, she's a fine you'd, Mart. I said that in Scottish Gaelic. Now you'll have to go on Google Translate.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, that was David Spears with some advice. I think you'll agree, and we'd like to stress, we also tried our best not to say Loch Ness.
I think that might as well have been a happiness tip from John Blake. 1 and 2. I think this is going to... We're in for a great 4 years, aren't we? This is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, Blakey would have been licking his lips.
We were all worried when Julian had to go by the wayside, unfortunately, with Stephen Marshall. They might have dispatches from the back bench, but I think there's some real rich vein with David Spears coming on.
Has Blakey done Mally yet, though? There haven't been many.
No. Well, I think he's done Mally and
Coots.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You can watch along in the 5AA Facebook live stream on YouTube as well, if that's your preferred service. Proudly partnering with Cancer Council SA. And you can shoot us texts on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text. And I like this one from Rob, who says, in relation to South Australia's most recent foreign policy failure, I suggest we stop buying carpets from the Solomon Islands. Let's give Rob a 5AA breakfast cup. Let's give him a cup, because that is...
You'll always pay less at Solomon's. Great South Australian company, and we should stress they do not get their carpets from the Solomon Islands.
Right. 13.9 degrees outside at the moment, top of 21 expected today, 20 tomorrow, a fairly mild weekend, 22 on Saturday, 25 Sunday, the public holiday Monday, unfortunately, is going to be a bit wet, up to 4 mils of rain, and the same for Tuesday, and a top of 24.
Hey, where are you going? Sit back down. Hey, we've still got the credits. 4 minutes and 32 seconds of luxury recliners, a 22-metre screen and 7-channel surround sound left.
No, it's just the credits.
Just the credits? One does not simply leave the Titan Lux Cinema at Reading Cinemas during the credits. Well, they're missing out. Experience Reading Cinema's Titan Luxe for yourself at Elizabeth and Westlakes. readingcinemas.com.au.
There's something you should know about SportsMed. We don't just provide knee, hip and shoulder care to elite athletes. Every day, we treat patients who simply want to get play with the kids fit, brisk walk fit or gardening fit. And having our clinic, hospital and specialists all based together at Stepney makes getting care for your joint pain and injuries, from diagnosis to rehabilitation, even easier. So get back to doing what you love. Speak with your GP for a referral. sportsmed.com.au.
Have you been itching to help out? Now you can. CMAX are trialling a potential skin treatment and need your help. If you are aged 18 to 55 and don't have atopic dermatitis, you may be eligible to participate. Not only will you help make a difference, but all eligible participants will get reimbursed for their time. Visit cmax.com.au and search for CM7721. That's cmax.com.au. CM7721.
It's okay to want more, which is why more and more people choose Mawson Lakes Volkswagen to service their car, especially Volkswagen owners. At Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, we offer state-of-the-art servicing, complimentary loan cars, next-day servicing, and breakfast or lunch is on us. Why? Because when you're Adelaide's newest Volkswagen dealer, you want to give more. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city. Visit mawsonlakesvw.com.au and book your service today.
We don't just say we're local, we are local. 9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 21 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
A scare for staff at the Salisbury OTR this morning. A car went into the shop window on Commercial Road just after 6. Neither the female driver nor any staff or customers were injured. The driver was an unlicensed 53-year-old local. The state road toll has climbed after a fatal accident on Kangaroo Island last night. A Mitsubishi van crashed and rolled on the Playford Highway near Barkhart Road. The driver and sole occupant, a 79-year-old man from Pandana, died at the scene. It's the 24th life lost on our roads this year, compared to 37 a year ago. The first leaders' debate of the federal election campaign was held last night. Michael Packey reports from Brisbane.
100 undecided voters gathered in a function room at the Gabba to question Scott Morrison and Anthony Albanese about their policy platform. The future of the National Disability Insurance Scheme was the main concern for Catherine, who has a son with autism.
Can you please tell me what the future of the NDIS looks like under your government?
The Prime Minister says the Coalition is committed to the program and praised Labor for setting it up, but also argues it needs to be refined to make sure taxpayer dollars are being spent wisely.
But it's always the Liberals and Nationals have to work out how to pay for these things.
Both leaders also clashed on issues like aged care, China's influence in the region and border protection.
Workplace safety regulators in New Mexico have issued the maximum possible fine to a film production company over a fatal shooting on set. Cinematographer Helena Hutchins died while making Rust last October after a prop gun being used by actor Alec Baldwin went off. Director Joel Souza was also injured in the shooting. The fine is $184,000. Still in the US, an actor Johnny Depp has spent another day on the stand in his multi-million-dollar defamation trial against his ex-wife, and there have been more personal revelations.
Ms. Heard would tell me what a bad father I was, and that I had no idea how to parent. And again, it falls into the same category as before. I couldn't understand how in 52 years, or however old I was at the time, how I could be so wrong about everything.
Princess Diana and the Queen have featured in Prince Harry's latest interview on US TV. Brett McLeod has more.
In a sit-down interview during the Invictus Games, Prince Harry said he has a really special relationship with the Queen, which he renewed last week, and says they talk about things they can't talk about with anybody else. And of Diana, he says his mother's presence has been constant over the last 2 years, saying it's like she's finished helping his brother William, and now she's helping him raise his children. Harry is yet to commit to returning to the UK for his grandmother's Platinum Jubilee in June. Today is the Queen's 96th birthday, which is marking privately at Sandringham.
The 50th Annual Golden Guitar Awards were held in Tamworth last night. Troy Cassar-Daley was voted Best Male Artist and also had the top-selling album. Shane Nicholson and Adam Harvey were also winners. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with footy, and the Crows and Power will name their sides tonight ahead of their matches this weekend. Adelaide will be without captain Rory Sloane, who's recovering from successful knee surgery. Brodie Smith telling Rowey the club is throwing their support behind the injured skipper.
He's in good spirits, as he always is, and thankfully sounds like it's all gone perfectly, and now he gets to focus on his rehab, so it'll be pretty slow for him to start with, but I've given him a few pointers already, and obviously Tex and Dudes have been through it as well, so he's got plenty of help.
Former Collingwood president Eddie Maguire has a bold plan to fix the umpiring crisis. Maguire's plan would see umpires paid more, but with less taking the field each week.
So what I'd have is 2 goal umpires, and then on the ground 4 umpires and 2 at the other end. Get rid of the boundary umpires, get rid of the goal umpires. The umpires then don't have to run 15, 16, 17 kilometres a day and also bounce a ball, an oval ball, for a party trick. Every weekend we send out 99 umpires and only 27 of them can pay a free kick.
The ATP says the move to ban Russian and Belarusian players from Wimbledon because of the ongoing conflict is unfair. Former Ukraine tennis player Sergei Stakhovsky has told the BBC he supports the decision.
I know that there will be some who were against it, that were vocal about it, but every individual in Russia has to feel the consequences of their government. If you don't like, if you want to compete, well, I'm pretty sure there's many countries who would welcome you as their citizens.
In the EPL, Manchester City is back on top of the table with a 3-0 win over Brighton, while finally the NBA playoffs continue today with the Nets taking on the Celtics shortly. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A car and truck have collided at Theberton on South Road just after West Theberton Road. Breakdown on the freeway near the Measdays Bridge to the Crafers exit affecting outbound. One lane is closed at Plimpton on Anzac Highway near Charles Street affecting inbound. Same at West Hindmarsh Port Road near South Road outbound. And a speed camera Regency Road Prospect. For a limited time, ABN holders can enjoy a 4.99% interest rate on GLC and GLE mid-size SUVs when you finance with Mercedes-Benz Financial. Ends April 30, T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Hardware stores have lots of stuff, but for sliding door parts, visit rollerco.com.au.
A partly cloudy Thursday, 21, partly cloudy tomorrow, 20, Saturday cloudy, 22. Right now it's 14 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Help create a home for South Australians impacted by cancer. Visit 202greenhill.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Seven minutes after 8, Breaking 8 coming up in a moment. Tom Duday very shortly. Looking forward to chatting with the dude, and also the new Shadow Treasurer. Matt Cowdery will be on the program after 8:30 today. Looking forward to talking to him. We've also got another ingredient coming up for you. This will be ingredient number 6, and another chance to win $2,500 cash thanks to MasterChef Fans v Favourites that's back at the moment. 6 ingredients, with 2 more coming tomorrow if it doesn't go off this hour, which means you're getting very, very close to that money. Today, it could go off at this hour. It's quite possible. Let's go Breaking It 8.
Well, we were talking a few days ago in Breaking It 8 about how the South Australian Liberal Party is running a fairly muted campaign for the federal election. I was commenting about how over the Easter weekend noticed a complete lack of posters for any Liberal candidates throughout the southern suburbs, and we've had a lot of feedback since then by listeners saying that they too, not just in the southern suburbs but in the northern suburbs, haven't noticed much, indeed anything, in the way of an energetic or a visible campaign on the ground. Well, how's this? I've actually done some proper work on this story, talking to sitting Labor MPs who hold these seats and party strategists who are monitoring the campaign. we can confirm that as things currently stand, at almost the full 2-week mark of this 6-week campaign with only 4 weeks to go, the shattered South Australian Liberals, still licking their wounds from the drubbing that they copped in the state election last month, they do not have a candidate for the southern suburbs seat of Kingston. So that means that the seat held by Amanda Rishworth, representing voters in Nollunga, Hackham, Flagstaff Hill, Aberfoyle Park, Christie's, Sully's, Ranella. There's no Liberal candidate down there.
That's
in the seat of Hindmarsh, held by Mark Butler, senior figure in the Federal Labor Party. So we're talking here the whole coastal strip, sort of running north from Nova Gardens all the way up to Outer Harbour. So you got Lockleys, West Beach, Fulham, Seaton. Again, the Liberal Party has not pre-selected a candidate for Hindmarsh.
Nobody. So if you're a Liberal voting person in Hindmarsh, you just got nothing.
You got nothing. And equally, if you live in Waterloo Corner, Elizabeth, Gawler, Craigmore, the northern end of Salisbury, all of those suburbs and towns that make up the northern federal electorate of Spence, where Nick Champion has retired and the unionist Matt Burnell is running for the ALP, the Libs haven't bothered to pre-select anybody there either.
We've only got 7 seats in South Australia.
No, we've got 10, I think. But
we lost one. Is it 9?
Yeah.
So it's a third of the seats.
Yeah, a third of the seats. 1/3 of the seats. The Liberals are not even bothering to run candidates. Now, my understanding is that in Kingston they were close to finding a candidate who apparently lived in the western suburbs, but it turned out they had some dual citizenship drama or something. So there's still no candidate. There's no candidate for Kingston. I find it remarkable that they haven't got anybody in Hindmarsh. Now, you think about these seats. Now, I know that the boundaries have changed a bit over the years, but just from casting my mind back, Kingston's always been a tough ask for the Liberal Party, but in my lifetime they have held it once. They won that seat when John Howard was elected in 1996, when Susan Jeans was the local member. Conversely, Hindmarsh, even though it's now merged with the seat of Adelaide, but Hindmarsh was held for a long period by Chris Gallus, who was an excellent local member and was a parliamentary secretary in the Howard government. Should have been a minister. Matt Williams held it recently for the Libs. But part of the issue is, even if these seats are now regarded as not winnable for the Liberal Party, part of it is just showing up. You're actually having people on the ground to fly the flag and to generate some sort of presence. Now, the Libs might argue, well, whatever, that's all window dressing. The only game in town here is holding on to Boothby and making sure that Sturt doesn't somehow slip into the mix as well. But I got to say, I reckon that is just utterly pathetic.
That's a disgrace. Just to tidy up, so we went from 11 to 10.
Yeah,
so 10 right now is the lowest number of federal seats we've had since 1954. So we're the lowest we've had, and a third of them don't have a Liberal sitting in. That is a sign of a couple. That's a sign of the party in total disarray.
Yeah,
they are in total disarray, and I don't buy that is a rubbish argument. Oh, well, we can't win it, so we're not going to run a candidate. There's a Greens candidate running in Hindmarsh right now. I've seen their posters.
There's UAP candidates running.
They're
in these
running
seats.
everywhere.
Yeah, there's One Nation people running.
That's embarrassing.
I mean, even the hemp party's having a crack in some of these seats.
On reflection, it's no wonder they got obliterated at the state election.
Yeah,
that's treating your vote. That's two things. It's treating your voters with utter contempt, but it's treating South Australia with utter contempt. The federal Liberal Party. Oh, well, a third of South Australian have candidates. Oh, well, there's your attitude to South Australia.
Yeah,
what a disgrace.
It is terrible, and it could do them real harm. That's amazing, isn't it? The sitting Labor members can't believe it. They're just going, well, there's a rumour doing the rounds that there's some staffer who works for the Health Minister, Stephen Wade, who might run in Hindmarsh.
It's 2 weeks into the campaign.
I know. This is like... It's like having people coming around for Christmas dinner and doing your shopping at 4 o'clock on Christmas Eve. Like, it takes a bit of planning, folks.
Yeah. Well, they're hoping independents get up. They're running dead. It's giving them way too much credit, I think.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And it just talks to total, utter collapse organisationally and in terms of morale.
Yeah, that's a remarkable story. 13 after 8. A really interesting story on the front page of the Oz this morning, featuring Australia's greatest Olympian.
Emma McKeon, the favourite, is spearheading this, and it's going to be gold for McKeon.
Emma McKeon's record, it is unbelievable. She holds most medals won in a single Olympics. She's our most successful Olympian overall. So when she says something about the state of women's sport and her sport of swimming, Australians should stand up and take notice. She has called on swimming officials to agree on a rule that will clarify exactly who should be racing against who. She's talking about this argument about transgender people competing against women in swimming. We've seen, of course, in recent times, Leah Thomas compete on the US collegiate circuit, who was born a man, but competing as a woman. She says, I personally wouldn't want to be racing against someone who is biologically a male, so that's a concern. It's not a new thing, but it's new in that sports swimming are going to have to deal with it. I don't think I'm going to have to race against a trans swimmer. I don't think it's going to come to that point. But now that it's a growing thing, the sport has to think about how to handle it and how to deal with it, because you do want to be inclusive. You don't want to have females racing against swimmers who are biologically male, because it's just not fair. I think that seems like a totally reasonable point of view. And she's an absolute legend of the sport.
Yeah, I agree with her. I totally agree with her. And I know this has become a bit of an issue in the election campaign with the somewhat over-the-top comments by the candidate in Warringah. But I think the danger, though, for parties on the left is that they actually... Because I reckon there's plenty of people who are progressive, but if you ask them about this issue privately, they'd go, yeah, I know, it's a bit out there and it's a bit weird. When you think about the story about Hannah Mounsey, who the footballer in Canberra who's transitioned, but still, you put her up physically against a woman, and she's...
Well, it's about fairness, and women's sport has fought for a long time to be legitimised and recognised. And now we were talking about the other day, we talked about the AFLW, the Crows team, as we talked about them in the same sports segment. We talk about the men's team. We talk about the Matildas now, and Sam Kerr as a genuine superstar of Australian sport. That's been a long and hard-fought battle for women's sport.
There's a broader issue here too. I heard that when the women's rights, the post-Brittany Higgins protests were being staged around the country, that in Sydney, the organisers of the protest there got upbraided by a transgender LGBTIQ group saying, oh, what, you're going to have these women's protests, but you're not having any transgender voices there. And, some bloke in a frock was demanding the right to turn up and speak. And I don't know, I would think as a woman, well, hang on, we've spent years as feminists striving for a level playing field. And at the 11th hour, as we saw that weightlifter from New Zealand who went up against the woman from Vanuatu who's devoted her life to the sport, someone who only a matter of months ago started transitioning, and if that's the way you're wired biologically, then no judgment there for people who feel like they're trapped in the wrong body. But the physicality of it can't be overlooked.
Well, no, you think back to the remember the Matildas? And this is not a slight on women's sport. It's just there is a physical difference in men and women. They lost to the Newcastle Jets under-16 side 7-0, going back a couple of years, a group of 15-year-old boys. There's a physical difference. That's why the sanctity and the wonderful thing that is women's sport needs to be protected. And if Emma McKeon's saying it, there needs to be rules because it wouldn't be fair, well, I think that's a pretty reasonable point of view. We're going to take a break in a moment. Tom Duday's coming up. I want to leave you with this. Sounds like it's going to be the biggest interview on planet Earth. Piers Morgan, who is a British columnist, provocateur, he's basically the David Penberthy of Great Britain, has sat down...
Don't put me in that category, mate. He's in a league of his own, this bloke.
Has sat down with Donald Trump for an interview that sounds like it got pretty explosive.
Okay, Piers, I'm ready.
A former president in denial.
I'll be completely straight with you to your face. I think I'm a very honest man. Much more honest than you, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a free and fair match. You lost.
Only a fool would think
You
that.
think I'm a fool?
I do now, yeah.
With respect.
Excuse me.
Okay, with respect, you have produced the hard evidence.
Excuse me.
The most explosive interview of the year.
I don't think you're real.
I realise I'm not like...
Very dishonest. Let's finish up the interview.
Morgan versus
Turn
Trump.
the camera off. Very dishonest.
Only on Talk TV.
We think it'll be shown on Sky here in Australia, but it looks like he walks out of the interview confronted about not accepting the result of the election and all sorts of things. That'll be interesting. Two men that were once really close. Let's check traffic. The Robertson Brothers 1960s variety TV shows on at Her Majesty's Theatre Thursday, May 12. Tickets at the venue.
A crash at Torrensville on Henley Beach Road near Marion Road is affecting inbound. St Ives on the freeway near the Cullington ramp from Adelaide. Theberton South Road just after West Theberton Road, and a breakdown on the freeway near the Measdays Bridge to Crafers exit affecting outbound. A speed camera at Addison Road Pennington and Fletcher Road Birkenhead. The King Autumn Sale ends soon, up to 50% off selected Australian Design Award-winning furniture. Sale ends soon. Visit the King Keswick showroom today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Peaceful living awaits at the 19th at West, with golf course views, tree-lined walking trails, a new cafe and retail shopping precinct. The best of the West is at your fingertips, with new 3 and 4 bedroom designs and prices beginning from just $730K. It's no surprise 19th at West is selling quickly. Discover the new collection today. the19thwest.com.au. Delivered by Commercial and General, proudly creating South Australian communities for 25 years.
Thousands of people have walked through the stunning Beechwood display home at Blackwood Park. Some of those people several times because it's just that good. But your time is running out. It's just been sold. From April, the home will be closed. But fear not, because now you can go behind the scenes of a Beechwood home while under construction. You'll get an incredible insight into what makes Beechwood homes an SA favourite. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
Now, what about this? If you're fitting out a workshop, your shed or rooms around the home with extra storage, forget the flat pack and go with the excellent folks at Sharman Shelving all the way.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Here's the thing that we all love about Sharman Shelving is that it's all done for you. So it'll be designed and pieced together by an expert, not flat packed.
No.
You're not going to sit there with an Allen key looking for small parts, reading instructions that are upside down. And at the end of the day, if it went my house, the person who puts it together in those scenarios is a moron.
Yes.
So we can avoid that with Sharman Shelving.
Bit of self-deprecation there from Will. Look, if you
thanks for clarifying that.
If you're not even remotely handy, or if you're just lazy, just get the guys at Sharman Shelving to do all the work for you, which they do. They did it for me. They'll come out, they'll give you a free measure and quote, then deliver and assemble all of it for you.
Or if you want to assemble it yourself, because you're not a moron, you can do that too, and they give you all the support you need.
That's right. When it comes to storage solutions, everybody needs a little Sharman in their life. 412 North East Road, Windsor Gardens, sharmanshelving.com.au, or take a look on Facebook.
When you die, who gets what? Will your kids or relatives argue over your estate? Will your beneficiaries be protected? Will your estate be tax effective? Will your wishes be respected and carried out? Speak with Donlan Lawyers now for peace of mind. Donlan Lawyers for wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
We don't just say we're local. We are local. 9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Visit 202greenhill.com.au and donate to cancer accommodation, research, prevention and support this April.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
– 22 minutes after 8.
I'm the dude, so that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
22 minutes after 8, joined in the 5AA Breakfast studio by Tom Duday. Thanks to Leader Computers, Australia's largest Australian-owned PC manufacturer, based right here in Adelaide. You can watch along on the 5AA Facebook and YouTube live stream as well. We've partnered with the Cancer Council. Good to have you in, dude.
Hey, good morning. It's good to be here.
Particularly after what happened on Saturday night. Just a sensational result. Sensational game, great crowd, great atmosphere, great comeback.
Yeah, you could say that. No, it was huge.
I think keeping the lid on it, mate.
Yeah. It was sort of when we first started off, when we were looking at the game and reviewing it. Obviously, we were pretty pretty excited. But then I think once we actually reviewed what went right and how we won the game, it was even more exciting, because to keep them to score 2 scoring shots in the fourth quarter, which it felt like a barrage. It felt like they would have had 5 or 6 at least, and to keep them to 2. And in the third quarter, when they got on that run for Rob and Keezy to win a big centre bounce and then go forward and Rob kicks that goal, was just huge for them to stand up. And for a young group that's sort of leaked a few goals in the past, and once teams go on runs, we sort of struggle to stand up. It was a big win and big learning.
So much of sport is mental, isn't it? And like even in the final quarter when they kicked the 2 quick goals in a row, and we were sitting there going, oh no. But because there have been times as a young group where you get an attack of the vapours when you're out there, and you can sort of see it a little bit on people's faces. But had a nice stuff this for a joke quality. It was our home ground, home crowd. We're gonna do this.
Yeah, 100%. And we had a mindset going into that fourth quarter of, let's make this an absolute crap fight. Let's go as hard as we can in terms of long down the line, repeat stoppage. Let's make this like a battle, and we did that, and that's how we wanted to go about it. And for a young group, as I said, like we've had close losses to FIVEAA and Essendon where we didn't compete in that fourth quarter and didn't get it done when we needed to, and to do it against a team like that of that quality was huge.
We spoke last week about the language that's around rebuilds, and so much of it in the last couple of years has been, it's good to see the Crows matching someone's intensity, or they're matching them in the midfield, or able to match them in terms of scoring output or defensive, whatever it might well be. You shifted the conversation a bit last week in saying you go to games now not hoping to win but expecting to win.
Yep.
Where are the areas now that you say we've got an advantage on other teams? Here's the thing that we do that we know we can win games because of.
Yeah, great question.
What are you most confident? What are you guys most confident in as a playing group?
Our fitness level and our ability to compete across 4 quarters in the contest is up there, and we think we can go against anyone in that regard. Our probably work on over the past few weeks has been that polish in the third and fourth quarter and stopping teams when they go on runs, and we completed that against Richmond. So that's not saying that's now our strong suit. That's 1 week. We need to do it across a year for it to become part of our DNA. But I think for us, we have a genuine belief that any game in the third and fourth quarter, we can start to really get on top. And if we stick to what we know works, that we can go with any team into those second halves. So for us, it's probably the biggest thing is competing early and making sure that we're in games, so that when it comes to those last bits, we can put our weapon to good use and take over.
Obviously, Tom, the big headline and very sad one at that on Saturday was Sloaney doing his knee. He's just had such a rotten run with injuries. That did put a bit of a dampener on things because he's been such a huge part, such
Absolutely.
a great leader at the club. Did the guys get a chance to talk to him in the rooms after? Was he off getting medical treatment? How's he going with it all?
No, in typical Sloaney fashion, he was in the post game meeting and talking and saying how proud he was, and then we had the weekend obviously to recover, and comes in Monday to leadership group meeting and straight into let's make sure we're doing this, and hey, great game on the weekend, boys. And it was as if nothing had happened, and he was getting ready for surgery on Wednesday. I was texting him Tuesday night, and he was just his usual self. He's one of the most positive humans I've come across, and he's been so influential in my career and at the Adelaide Football Club that it's a huge loss that obviously we probably can't replace. We're gonna try to, in terms of everyone's going to have to step up, but gutted for him, and obviously having been through that journey, it's not an easy one, but if there's one bloke who can come through the other side stronger and a better person and athlete, it's him.
Now, how's it going to work? So you, Brodie Smith, Riley O'Brien, Ben Keys are all going to rotate the captaincy? Is that how it's going to work on match day?
Yep.
So who's got it this weekend?
It's looking likely, because Brodie both won the coin toss and the showdown. He'll probably keep it.
So that's his pitch.
Yeah, well, he was. Yeah, that's what he went with. I just asked him when he won the coin toss. Sloaney continuously picked the opposite end of where the defenders had to go, so like the end that we were at. So I had a long walk to start every game, and then Smithers didn't. So I didn't have the long walk, and it actually worked out all right. We won the game. So no, it'll probably be rotation based, just in terms of a few blocks of games, just so it's not just get your feet wet and then out. It's more you can actually start to build a bit of continuity in terms of the captaincy stuff. But I reckon it's going to be huge for our group. For me, having experienced it in the past, and Smithers having experienced it, to have Keezy and Rob now be able to do that and sort of build that development with the group, build that bond with the group, and going forward, I think it'll be great for us as a collective.
Wearing a cinematic cap, mate, sounds like it's got the potential to be a bit like the Reece Witherspoon film Election, or maybe Napoleon Dynamite, where you're all sort of out there running your campaigns to become the next captain.
I've got your vote. Yeah, that's all yeah. I'm gonna hit up John Olsen and see if I can get some tips on.
Well, he knows all about
Well,
that.
we are in an election campaign, and look, I've said this, and I think David agrees. We think you should be the next captain of the Adelaide Football Club.
I appreciate that.
There is an opening now. Everyone needs to use their platform to get elected. your platform is 5AA breakfast, for good or bad. Would you like to make a pitch? Would you like to make a plea?
I'd be a bit concerned if we went down the political path. Riley O'Brien's he's a switched on unit, and he's got some he's got some knowledge across the political landscape. So
okay,
but
does he have this? See, if I play this when you speak, it'll really help.
Tom Dudo.
There you go.
No, for us, like in fairness, with all that stuff, like I know, and there's the narrative and all that sort of stuff, but there's no change in our mindset of that. Sloaney's our captain, and for us this year, it honestly is just 4 blokes that are going to have to try and step in for that week and fill that role, and there's no change in that in terms of the rest of the year going forward. Like Sloaney, and once he gets over the early parts of the surgery, when you're bedridden, he'll be straight back in on the bench and being our captain from the sideline.
That sounded like a captain speaking just
Yeah,
then. That was clever.
I like it. I got to say, Tom, I like your diplomacy and your sincerity about it, because you don't want to look like you're sort of cravenly jumping on an opportunity that's come about through something so horrible. So I get
because I'm not. Yeah,
totally. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. Hey, just quickly, Ballarat. Jeez, you know a bit about Ballarat. Horrible place, isn't it?
If my partner's listening right now, it's the best place in the world. If she's not,
David,
I'm not exactly.
That was a bigger trap than the captaincy questions.
But it's about -10 there.
Though last year, to be fair, Ballarat last year, we were told rain, wind, freezing, and it was sunshine. It was a windy day, but it was relatively sunny, and it was nice. And then as soon as we got on the bus to go home, albeit in a bad loss, started absolutely bucketing down. So they held out for us last year, so hopefully they can do it again.
Hopefully it does again. Big game, big test against the Doggies as well. Good to have you in, dude.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Tom.
Tom Dudo, thanks to Leader Computers, Australia's largest Australian-owned PC manufacturer, based right here in Adelaide.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two, 21 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact FIVEAA Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
There's been a security scare in Washington, D.C. The US Capitol was evacuated a short time ago as police tracked an aircraft posing a probable threat. It's now been determined the aircraft didn't pose a threat, and an all clear has been announced by Capitol Police. It turned out it was Army parachutists for a nearby baseball game. A car's ploughed into a Salisbury service station this morning. The SUV crashed through the window of the OTR on Commercial Road just after 6 a.m. Senior Constable Matt Brown says luckily no one was injured.
SES crews are on scene as well as other emergency services. There's no structural damage to the building, fortunately, but the driver, a 53-year-old Salisbury woman, she's been taken to hospital as a precaution and also to have a sample of her blood taken.
A man has been killed in a crash and car rollover on Kangaroo Island. It happened just before 7:30 last night. The 79-year-old from Pandana died at the scene. It's the 24th life lost on South Australian roads this year. Scott Morrison and Anthony Albanese squared off in the first leaders' debate of the federal election campaign last night, with the Labor leader narrowly winning the contest. The Prime Minister and Mr Albanese took questions from an audience of 100 undecided voters on topics including borders, national security and the NDIS. Mr Albanese secured 40 votes, Mr Morrison 35, while 25 people were still undecided.
Because he was more talking about the future and everything else, whereas Anthony Albanese was more interested in talking about the past.
Pretty even Stevens, I think. Overall, I think Albo probably had a more progressive agenda.
Honestly, I'm going to have to say ScoMo won that one.
I thought Mr Albanese was a little bit more on topic.
It's business as usual at Channel 9 Adelaide today, but it was a different story last night. A computer problem meant the local 6 o'clock bulletin couldn't go to air. We had the Melbourne bulletin instead. Newsreader Brenton Raglas has told David and Will it was all hands on deck when the problem started.
It's a fairly large studio floor and there was people running left, right and centre. Like I said, it had all the hallmarks of our cyber attack, but in the end it was just a server and our IT crews worked till late in the night to rectify.
The Queen turns 96 today and a new photograph has been released to mark the occasion. Recent health issues have meant Her Majesty has not attended traditional events such as the Easter Sunday church service at Windsor Castle of late. Monarchy expert Cindy McCreary says other members of the royal family will continue to step up as she gets frailer.
Prince William, Prince Charles are doing more of the long-haul travel on behalf of the monarch, and the Queen is really, I think, limiting herself now to engagements within the United Kingdom and really probably now pretty close to home, namely close to Windsor Castle and London.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. To footy first, and Brodie Smith will captain the Crows this weekend against the Bulldogs. Defender Tom Doedee telling Will and Dave Smith will fill the role until passing it on to the other leaders.
Looking likely because Brodie both won the coin toss and the showdown. He'll probably keep it. It'll probably be rotation based just in terms of a few blocks of games, just so it's not just get your feet wet and then out. It's more you can actually start to build a bit of continuity.
GWS co-captain Josh Kelly has defended Leon Cameron amid speculation about his coaching future, with Cameron's contract set to expire at the end of the season.
You know, all that talk is just background noise for us and for Leon at the moment. You know, we've got a game plan that he puts in front of us and we've just got to go out and execute that. So that's our focus at the moment.
In the EPL, Manchester City is back on top of the EPL table with a 3-0 win over Brighton. That audio thanks to Optus. Well, finally, boxers Tyson Fury and Dillian White have squared off in the UK ahead of Sunday's heavyweight title fight. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Urgent power works at Mile End on South Road near Henley Beach Road is causing some outbound delays. A crash at Torrensville, Henley Beach Road near Marion Road. St Ives on the freeway near Cullington Ramp from Adelaide, and Theberton South Road just after West Theberton Road. A breakdown at Crafers on the freeway near the Measdays Bridge to the Crafers exit is affecting outbound. And a speed camera Victoria Road Birkenhead. Find the perfect thoughtful gift for Mother's Day at Michael Hill and enjoy 15% off selected necklaces and earrings. In store and online now at Michael Hill. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Hardware stores have lots of stuff, but for sliding door parts, visit rollerco.com.au.
Heading for a top of 21 today and partly cloudy, much the same tomorrow, 20 and 22 on Saturday. Right now it's 16 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Finance your new Navara with Nissan Future Value. Low monthly repayments available and a guaranteed future value, so you can upgrade more often. Visit your Nissan dealer today. Approved private and ABN applicants only. T's and C's apply.
How do you know if the milk you're buying is local? Easy. Just look for 3 words. Flurio Milk Company. If the bottle you pick up has those 3 words on it, Flurio Milk Company, it's guaranteed to be local. It's guaranteed to be fresh too. And the big plus, you're supporting SA dairy farmers, and for that, we're forever grateful. 3 words. Flurio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
Mini Jumbuck, Australia's favourite wool bedding products. Now located in McLaren Vale, Mini Jumbuck has a great range of quality Australian-made wool bedding products to suit all sleepers and all climates. You'll love their extensive range of Australian-made quilts, mattress toppers and pillows too. And remember, Mini Jumbuck McLaren Vale also stock a huge range of genuine sheepskin Ugg boots and quality merino wool clothing. For Australia's favourite wool products, call into Mini Jumbuck McLaren Vale, open 7 days.
Now, you all know that I love my local Mitre 10. Whether something needs fixing indoors or there's jobs to be done outside or in the garden, Mitre 10 is sure to have everything you need.
That's right, so if you're planning some DIY jobs or projects over the Anzac Day long weekend, your local Mitre 10 will have everything you need to get things sorted.
That's right, whether it's installing a rainwater tank, getting rid of garden pests, fertilising, good time to do that. fixing up retaining walls or sprucing up inside with a coat of paint, you name it, Mitre 10 have all the gear you need, along with friendly and helpful advice.
You can shop in-store or use the Mitre 10 click and collect option to order online, and most stores have delivery options available too.
But look, get in there because they're always super helpful. Check your local store for trading hours across the weekend. That's mighty helpful, Mitre 10.
Visit 202greenhill.com.au and donate to cancer accommodation, research, prevention and support this April.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 9 behind closed doors shortly, and Matt Cowdery in a moment.
I just want to add a bit more context to Breaking at 8 because we've been contacted by Liberal HQ. They're saying that they have got candidates for Hindmarsh, Spence and Kingston. Now, this is interesting because they still have not been announced publicly. So what has happened...
Hang on. They've got secret candidates?
Well, no, apparently, no. They're going to be confirmed tomorrow, I think, with the and they're going to go up online. They're going to have their faces on websites. No word about whether they've got campaign officers.
It's only 2 weeks into the campaign, and every other party's got their posters up. But better late than never, I guess.
But just to clarify, the Liberals insist that they do have candidates lined up, and there was a special motion passed a week ago. So in the first week of the campaign, state executive passed like an emergency motion at a meeting on 14th of April, but none of this has been made public yet, endorsing the following candidates for Hindmarsh, Spence and Kingston: Anna Finizio for Hindmarsh, Sean Locke for Spence, and Kathleen Byrne for Kingston. It has got a bit of a if a tree falls in a forest sort of vibe about it, though, hasn't it?
We've got candidates, we're just not going to tell you who they are.
Well, they are going to tell us. I was told that the Libs, we don't always announce every candidate before the close of nominations, but they will all be up online before the ballot draw tomorrow. It's no secret. Well, it's not being kept secret, but hasn't yet been made public. It seems to be the issue.
They would have been better off saying we're adopting a policy where we just think cornflakes are a thing of the past, and we're not going to put up our candidates.
Yeah,
that would have been a good.
More a word of mouth strategy.
Yeah, that's right. People want to vote. They know who the party are. We don't need to put up the cornflakes and the pictures, and we're saving the environment. That would have been a better line.
Yeah, treading lightly on Mother Earth.
Hey, you can watch along on 5AA Facebook or on the YouTube live stream, proudly partnering with Cancer Council SA. We had Mark Gibbons on Tuesday. Remember Mark? He's doing the record-breaking attempt where he's sleeping 2 hours a day and just riding continuously on the southeastern freeway for the most vertical metres ridden on a bike. He's doing he's Everesting, is what they call it. He's raising money for the Children's Leukemia and Cancer Research Foundation. Today is the final day of his record-breaking attempt. He'll break it a little bit later today. If you want to donate to this great cause, you can do so online at justgiving.com and search for Mark Gibbons. It'll be the height of 5 Everests that he ultimately summits. He'll do it at about midday. 44,200 vertical metres climbed.
Geez, you want a bit of a lie down after that, wouldn't you?
For a month? Sitting in the chair for that long. Imagine your bum would hurt.
I'll tell you what, our next guest knows a bit about endurance in a sporting context, and he's about to find out about endurance in a political context too. The newly minted shadow treasurer of the South Australian Liberal Party, Matthew Cowdery. Matt, good morning. Congratulations on your elevation. On the face of it, looks like a bit of a daunting task, but we got the impression, talking to the new leader, Dave Spears, yesterday, that despite the nature of the drubbing you guys copped a few weeks ago, that you are up for the fight.
Absolutely. Good morning, boys. How are you? We certainly are. I don't think there's any unrealistic people in our party room. We understand that we need to refresh, provide a new vision for South Australia and really take stock and listen and understand where we went wrong. There were certainly mistakes made, but we are very positive about what the future holds, and a completely new team and fresh faces. It's a good chance to turn a new page and start fresh.
You, Matt, I follow it closely because it's my local seat. You're my local member there in Carlton.
I am, that's right.
The margin, you moved, it was just 1.4% to Labor. That, you bucked the trend massively in terms of the statewide swing. Why do you think you were able to do it? What were you able to communicate to people that some of your colleagues couldn't?
Look, it's always hard in politics, I think, to put a finger on exactly what was done right and what was done wrong, but I certainly spent a lot of time in my community. I did absolutely everything I could from a local perspective to foster really good, genuine relationships with every community group, with sporting clubs, and with the general populace of the Great Western Suburbs down in Colton. So I hope that they understand that I brought a genuine approach, and perhaps that had something to do with it. I made sure that I communicated with my residents as often as I possibly could. So, look, those are some of the things that we'll have to delve into over the coming months when we really have a good look at what went right and what went wrong.
Do you share your leaders' optimism about the prospect of victory in 2026? Because our fairly bleak reading of it is that with all of those ex-Liberal independents now holding so many regional seats, it looks, to use the Everest analogy again, it looks like an impossibility.
Well, I don't think anybody's saying it's going to be easy, but I certainly think that there's a path there for us should we do everything right. And that's one of the key things for our team is to bring a new, fresh, united approach to how we do politics in the Liberal Party. I think that's one of the things that we certainly can learn. I think that goes without saying. We don't probably need to go into too many of the backstories of that, but we definitely are a fresh, united, new team. And with that comes optimism, and with that comes a new approach.
I got to say, Matt, I don't know if you're a moderate. I don't know if you're a conservative. I mean, are you either? Because I sort of hope, in a way, for the sake of the party, that you're not. Like, you know, hasn't this sort of been the sort of Montague and Capulet type catastrophe that has kept the South Australian Liberals fighting over the spoils of defeat for the better part of 3 decades now?
Well, absolutely right. I mean, we just need to move past this stuff. All of us need to be able to work with everybody in the party room, to trust everyone in the party room, and I think that's the new approach that is being taken. It is a team that in some ways are not burdened by the events of the past, and that's a good thing for both the Liberal Party but also for South Australia.
What are your philosophies as a shadow treasurer and potential treasurer, Matt? Are you a sort of a pay down debt guy? Are you a spend and develop kind of guy? What do you see as the opportunities for the South Australian economy?
Well, look, I think the fundamentals in terms of where we are from an economic perspective are quite strong. We obviously have some of the biggest GSP growth that we've had in the history of South Australia. An employment rate in some ways is like the trend comparatively to the past 20-odd years of where the state has been. So the economic fundamentals are certainly there, and we'll be holding the Labor Party to account to ensure that prosperity continues into the future. I mean, we haven't even announced the rest of the cabinet yet, so we're still very early days, and I've got a lot of work to do over the time, particularly in the next 5 or 6 weeks as we come into what is a very early budget in comparison to previous election cycles. But I'll certainly be taking a different approach to my predecessor on some things. Yeah.
Good stuff. Matt Cowdery, the new Shadow Treasurer for the South Australian Liberal Party. Thanks very much for joining us this morning, Matt.
No worries, boys. Enjoy.
14 minutes to 9. Let's have a look at the fuel situation this morning. I think there's some bad news on this front. I had a peek at this earlier. Find the cheapest fuel on the My RAA app, including where RAA members can save 4 cents a litre. It's on the way up. There's a few outlets that are now in the $1.89 sort of range. There are a few yesterday in the $1.40 range, and there are still some this morning that we found for you. The Liberty at Crittenden Road, Findon, $1.49.9. The Ex-Convenience Port Road, Hindmarsh, $1.48.9. The Ex-Convenience Main North Road Prospect, $1.48.9. So that's Sweet North and West is probably where you'll find it cheapest. The cheapest diesel we found was at the BP Victoria Road, Largs Bay. So again, out north, $1.72.9. 13 to 9, Behind Closed Doors is coming up in just a moment. But first, it's traffic. The Robertson Brothers 1960 variety TV show, Her Majesty's Theatre, Thursday, May 12. Tickets at the venue.
Few hotspots for your drive to work, including urgent power works at Mile End on South Road near Henley Beach Road, causing outbound delays. A crash at Torrensville on Henley Beach Road near Marion Road, affecting inbound. St Ives on the freeway near the Cullington ramp from Adelaide, and Theberton South Road just after West Theberton Road. Heavy delays citybound on the north-south motorway at Port Road, and inbound north-south motorway between Hawker Street to Torrens Road. Try new throat gummies from the makers of Soothers. 2 great flavours, lemon and lime and butter menthol. They're the chewy way to coat your throat. Available in supermarkets and pharmacies now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And we're back with another Mate dedication. Thanks, champ. This is for my best mate Eddie. He backed her off in our pot and it got up for the lads.
Great stuff. Ladbroker together with Mates Mode. T's and C's apply and available on website. Gamble responsibly.
The time has arrived. Adelaide's most anticipated precinct is now under construction. 88 O'Connell. Culture, sport, entertainment and fine dining all on the doorstep of this ultimate urban resort. 1, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments are selling fast, offering timeless design and unparalleled views of the ocean, city and hills. 88 O'Connell is more than a lifestyle. It's a life styled just for you. Delivered by Commercial and General, proudly creating South Australian communities for 25 years.
Cancer Council SA is calling on all of us to help build a new home of cancer accommodation, research, prevention and support.
Almost 1/3 of South Australians affected by cancer live in rural and regional areas, and sadly, they are more likely to die within 5 years of a cancer diagnosis. Essentially, they're not able to receive the treatment they need due to the cost of travel and accommodation in the city.
And that's why this is such an important initiative. The Cancer Council's new building at 202 Greenhill Road. It's so important. It's a fantastic idea. It's going to offer 120 rooms of supported accommodation alongside cancer research, prevention and support services.
Right now, it needs to be filled with essential equipment and the creature comforts of home. By donating just $20, you'll be making a huge difference.
We've all been touched by people being affected by cancer, so dig deep, folks. Please visit their website, 202greenhill.com.au, and donate today. As we said, $20 is all it takes to make a big difference. The website again is 202greenhill.com.au.
Right now, across Adelaide, DIYers are taking up their spades and mallets for a great cause. The cause? Cause if they don't get that outdoor paving, retaining wall or steps done before winter, it'll be another 12 months before they do. Cause when it comes to outdoor paving, walls and steps, now's the time to save up to 20% off Lutum, formerly Boral, Adelaide-made pavers, blocks and bricks. Cause you can do it yourself. Get up to 20% off and relax over winter. Whew. See your Lutum reseller today, cause this offer won't last.
Scores are tied as the halftime siren sounds. Jackson grabs his footy, runs onto the oval. His sister Kayla is right behind him. It's halftime of the Host Plus Sandful League, and the kids are going berserk.
The Host Plus Sandful League. It's quality football, free entry for the kids, plus loads of activities to keep them entertained. And don't forget your footy for a kick and a catch on the oval. Keep the kids entertained this weekend at the Host Plus Sandful League. Nothing beats it. Visit sandful.com.au for match info.
Ned's early payout is on the AFL. Place a head-to-head bet on any game this round, and if your team is up by 20 points or more at half-time, you win. Take the AFL to the Ned's level. First $250 staked. T's and C's apply. Visit the website for details. Gamble responsibly.
We don't just say we're local. We are local. 9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Eleanor Rigby picks up the rice in the church.
Help create a home for South Australians impacted by cancer. Visit 202greenhill.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Who is it for? All the lonely people. Where do they all come from?
9 to 9, we've got Rock the House tickets to give away. 6 Australian music legends, 6 decades of hits and awesome musicians. You can book at ticketek.com.au. We're going to give it to someone who's participated in the program this morning.
Let's give it to Stephen in Paynham.
Good on you, Stephen. You're off to see Rock the House. Congratulations to you. Sounds like a great show. Ticketek.com.au is the place to go if you'd like to get along. Behind closed doors coming up in a moment. Our last ingredient of the day, your last chance to win $2,500 cash. David's secret recipe. Ingredient number 6 coming up.
It is chocolate.
Chocolate?
Chocolate.
Okay.
Chocolate.
All right, well, that confirms some things,
It confirms nothing, Will.
Doesn't it? Makes it kind of... I'm not going to say anything. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just...
It is chocolate.
Everything I say is a red herring in this competition, but it's not by design. It's because I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to say nothing. 8223 0055, if you've got an inkling as to what the dish might well be, 8223 0055. You could win $2,500 cash if you can tell us what it is. 6th ingredient. How on the scale of rate last week's recipe and this week's out of 10 in terms of difficulty?
This is harder.
Okay. Like, is this a 10 out of 10 hard compared to last week?
A lot of people will go, I've never heard of that dish.
Okay.
But the people who've heard of it will go, oh, yeah, that is one of the great dishes.
All right, let's hope Debbie in Port Noarlunga South's heard of it. Morning, Debbie.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah,
we're good,
well.
thanks, Debbie. How are you going?
Good. Don't know if I'm close, but I'm thinking it might be almond bread.
Almond bread.
I'm sorry, Debbie. It is not almond bread.
Sorry, Debbie, not almond bread. So we go to Friday with another ingredient coming up tomorrow, potentially two, and then we just keep taking guesses until somebody gets it right. $2,500 cash will be given away, though, on 5AA Breakfast, thanks to MasterChef Fans v Favourites, back on Channel 10 at the moment. Let's go behind closed doors, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions. Looking for subcontract drivers right now. Call 13 13 64. That's 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed
13.95, Adelaide's 5AA. This is Andrew Brymer.
I fell in love and my love still grows. Ask any fool like she ever knew to say I'll keep away from a run around Sue. Yeah.
And what a way to start off the show with a song like Run Around Sue with Dion there. Dion Debucci and my producer Gina was bopping around the studio. She loved that song. It's a great way to start off the show with a feel-good song like Run Around Sue, which of course is all about being unfaithful to someone who put their trust in you, and she took that trust and totally betrayed that trust. So a feel-good song to start with, and of course if you are in love with someone and then you find out that they are sleeping with every other person in the town that you both live in, it's enough to make you question whether it's worth ever trusting anyone ever again. So a good feel-good song there, as always, to start the show with, and you can give me a call now on 8223. And tonight there is a method to my madness surrounding Run Around Sue, because we are going to be talking about people who give you the run around and rip you off blind, and people who sue you in a court of law. So the run around and the sue there, two feel-good subjects that make our lives completely miserable, and we'll be talking about all of that tonight. So give us a call and join in the misery.
You've heard in 5AA News over the course of the morning, one of the big talking points that's come out of the news cycle overnight has been the interview that Prince Harry conducted with MBC Today from The Hague in the Netherlands. Have a listen to a little bit of what he had to say.
You obviously made a lot of news recently. You came home to the UK. You saw your grandmother. How was that?
It was great. It was really nice to see her. Be able to see her in some element of privacy was nice. I hadn't had a chance to go back to the UK for a couple of years, apart from those two times, one for my grandfather's funeral and one for unveiling a statue of my mum.
How did it feel being back? Being with her?
Being with her, it was great. It was just so nice to see her. You know, she's on great form. She's always got a great sense of humour with me, and I'm just making sure that she's, protected and got the right people around.
Well, you make her laugh. That's what she always says. Did you do it again?
Yes, I did. Both Megan and I had tea with her, so it was really nice to catch up with her. And home for me now is for the time being, it's in the States, and it feels that way as well.
Does it?
Yeah. We've been welcomed with open arms, and it's got such a great community up in Santa Barbara. So
you feel like that's home more for you?
Yeah.
So the interview comes on the eve of her birthday, which is right now, 21st of April is the Queen's 96th birthday. People have taken great issue with Prince Harry saying she needed to be protected from the people and making sure she's got good people around her, when the people he can only be talking about are his father and brother. They're the people around her.
The guy's just checked out. Living in Santa Barbara and La La Land, to sort of turn your back on your family like that. Bruce Springsteen said that. Man turns his back on his family. Well, man, he ain't no good.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done.
David Mellor, a former Conservative MP in the UK, said this, and I think you'll agree with a lot of it. He says, on comes the news about Harry saying his granny needs to be protected, and I fell about. This is a comic turn. The best paid comedian couldn't be funnier than that. What's this man on, or what's he's off? You think yourself, he's really showing signs that his life is now totally distorted by becoming a Kardashian-type figure. Well, he's surrounded by people who want to photograph him because they're paying him lots of money for the privilege of filming him, and the Queen becomes important to him only because he has to see the Queen for his credibility on Netflix.
100%. And I love his turn of phrase. You can imagine life there in Santa Barbara. Wake up, put on your dressing gown, have a sort of protein shake, and maybe do a bit of Pilates. It's such a vacuous existence, isn't it, compared to the quiet dignity of life in England?
Yeah.
Don't you reckon?
That's right. We're out of time. Graham Goodings is coming up, and we'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6.
Hey, headline.
Oh, you want to do a headline?
I do. I do.
Okay, sorry.
Taking the Vicky. Chapman shuffles into sunset with a lazy 300 grand.
Big Vickies.
Big Vickies, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's even better, actually.
No, it's not. We'll wrap it up now. See you tomorrow from 6.
Next up, a mate dedication from Tim.
Andy, I'll never forget the day that you loaned me that slick tie so I could get into the members.